Disclaimer: the Shadow Confederation Charter applies to all releases on this podcast. There's a lot to say about Jamie's stream, which she did most of with Kimmy on July 20th. But I want to make sure I frame some things correctly first. Staying composed isn't me pretending I'm okay, nor should it be treated at all as any kind of indication that this conflict isn't as serious as I've been saying. If I don't respond with clarity and composure, they would have succeeded in making me look like I was being predatory and malicious towards them from the beginning all along, instead of me being able to expose the truth that the complete opposite is reality. I don't feel anything I can say really conveys my distress completely accurately or even really comes very close. But expressing my anger and frustration more aggressively to try to show how deeply this whole conflict has always impacted me emotionally just gets warped into trying to frame me as abusive or somehow disingenuous or something else I was never trying to achieve, and I've had to try extremely hard just to stay calm. It sounds kind of stupid, even to me who knows what I've been through, but it's really that serious that even just staying calm is a massive burden in itself for me, especially at this point. Extremely time consuming in a manner that would be drastically alleviated with even a little more resources, that it's fucking inhumane I'm being left in a position I have to suffer so egregiously being denied of. With that combined with the very real reason for me to have to worry about further hitmen coming after me while knowing I've been brutally betrayed and abandoned by everyone, on top of constantly being emotionally and reputationally attacked, I really wanted to be clear who would really be responsible if me being forced to basically effectively endlessly endure egregious undeserved suffering of such an unreasonable burden leads to any kind of extremely damaging outcome in the future. And I'm most certainly not talking about killing myself. Litigation definitely wouldn't be a quick and easy matter, and it'd likely take years for the whole court process to finish. In the meanwhile, I'd still be homeless, have to eat out of the trash just to survive, likely continue to face hitmen coming after me, and at the very least have to deal with the stress of worrying about that, and also continue to see even more vicious, unapologetic, intentional infliction of emotional distress that Kimmy, Jamie, and likely also others would persist with in their attempts to erode at my mental health and general ability to survive. Even suggesting I should see that kind of scenario as acceptable and simply tolerate it after everything I've already had to suffer is absolutely unconditionally unacceptable to me. If the malice being exerted on me doesn't stop escalating, it's going to continue to affect my well-being in ways that are already out of my control. I've made it clear how bad things have gotten, and it really seems to me that literally absolutely nobody really cares, and no real adequate attention will be brought to this conflict until something really drastic happens. I don't want it to go there, but I'm reaching a point where I don't know what else to do. Even my greatest efforts are somehow being so egregiously exploited they benefit others more than myself, entirely against my consent and entirely to my detriment, with zero real or even remotely adequate repercussions for those being predatory to me. I can't just file a lawsuit and wait around and eat out of the garbage while being homeless and having to worry about if I'll get shot dead by a hitman every night until maybe I'm rewarded some damages in court after years. No matter what anyone says, I won't ever believe I should have to suffer like that. For many years already, it's been exceedingly evident to me that those attacking me want me so extremely devastated that I forget about surviving the abuse, forget about getting attention I deserve so I can actually demand accountability and stop further damage to my life, and instead just feel so overwhelmed with negative, painful, heavy emotions that I feel the need to impulsively lash out constantly just to feel some sense of emotional relief against their constantly escalatingly provocative, inflammatory, predatory, malicious behavior. Every such reaction would be weaponized to fit into their narrative further, exclusively degrading at my life and others' perception of me, even deserving to continue living. Trying to make a meaningful, measured response seem either impossible, utterly futile, or both. While my behavior certainly must seem uncalculated and just really unhinged at times, it's actually a strategically analyzed and carefully crafted measured response that I have to personally deeply dive into my own emotional state and awareness of reality, beyond anything even AI can really help much, if at all, with, and come out of that balancing my emotions enough to form a meaningful response that I maximize to do more good than harm to myself. Even from my behavior well before releasing the manifesto in 2019, I had this thought process persistently in my mind while dealing with this absolute nightmare they tried to leave me unable to ever wake up from. I recognize that it can be seen as presumptuous for me to make more firm statements about more vague statements I'm addressing being made. I'm operating from the context I've established on this podcast, proving that especially Kimmy and Jamie clearly pay attention to what I release on this podcast and low-key try to attack me and discredit me with their content consistently every time I do anything that at all effectively defended myself against the immense harm they'd already caused to my life prior. I only continue to believe and be substantiated in my belief that attempts to convince me I'm grossly inaccurate in my assertions are attempts to manipulate me into not seeing the truth of the matter, and that those attempts are utterly malicious towards, at the very least, myself, if not also others. Further, again, I do not identify with being a part of Kimmy, Jamie, and or anyone else's Twitch chat. However, I must address things they throw out addressed to their chat because they clearly are so extremely disrespectful towards me that they have utterly refused to communicate directly with me at all for at least the last roughly 7 years, and they also utterly refuse to actually properly address anything I've said on this podcast. Instead, they only try to discredit me while lumping me in with those that actually participate in, or at least actually are okay with being considered a part of, their chats. Let's get into it.
Yesterday I posted a story saying like, oh, like, do you guys think I'm fixable? Because I was having a mental breakdown. And fucking Cutie responds. She says, sorry, Jamie, I said no because if you were mentally stable like the rest of us, you would be like too OP. I was like, oh, thank you.
So even those around her clearly recognize Jamie as extremely mentally unstable and should not have what she claims taken as truth easily. So pretty much anything she might try to communicate about me somehow to discredit me should already clearly be considered complete lies unless she's actually going to show irrefutable evidence otherwise. She clearly doesn't have anything like that because it doesn't exist, because I'm not a fraud. All her friends clearly know it too, and they're still going along with her garbage. And, of course, unsurprisingly, the terrorist-loving Twitch platform has no issue with platforming Jamie so she can continue terrorizing my life so egregiously.
Are you gonna post more on YouTube? Okay, please let me justify my YouTube channel. Okay, please. Okay, so I know in the beginning of this year, I was like, guys, I'm redoing my whole YouTube channel. But, you know, if you've been following me for a long time, I break my promises, but I deliver. That is like the best way to describe myself, okay? Like, even with like people in my life, like, I don't always keep my promise, but I always deliver. So I think, no, I haven't posted yet because like I know once I post, like I have to keep going. So originally, like the plan I had for my YouTube was like gonna be really like professional and more cooking oriented, but I've been really struggling because it's so much fucking work and it's really hard to find like a good available editor. So now I've been getting the itch to make more like I don't know if you guys are like this, but more like girl oriented videos, because a lot of my female fans like came from my YouTube. So now I'm like, like maybe, and now that I'm like, I don't know, I'm so like bored and like I have so much in my life that I can share with you guys that I don't, and I'm just like in my apartment alone. I'm like, maybe I should just like vlog again or like do things that are more personal instead of like a professional cooking channel, because I was like, man, am I really gonna keep up with a professional cooking channel? And why the fuck would someone watch my cooking channel when there's so many other cooking channels? Right? And so I would still cook and stuff, but probably more casual. Anyways, I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. How is my mental health? Guys, my mental health has been the same for like 2-3 years. Like, I'm just not mentally stable, but that's stable for me.
Jamie certainly never had any even remotely adequate reason to believe I'd ever want or tolerate being an editor for her YouTube content, or any of her content in general, or that I'd ever even want or tolerate being employed by her in any capacity in general. Seems pretty strange to me that Jamie took her YouTube channel not very seriously all these years she's been a content creator, and suddenly, not very long after I start a podcast and clearly am taking it increasingly seriously and treating it professionally, she suddenly decided to take it more seriously, supposedly. I've never been trying to compete with her, but it's like she's been secretly trying to compete with me all this time. And why? Well, trying stealing my entire life, it seems. For the record, Jamie has never promised me anything, nor do I at all consider her to have delivered on anything I could have ever wanted from her. There's nothing I even really ever would have wanted from her, except not to get in the way of my connection with Kimmy, but she's only becoming an even bigger problem constantly the more I've ever proven that's the case. For me, it has nothing to do with what kind of content she's putting out and everything to do with who she really is and how she really lives her life even when the camera is off. Quite a timing, too, for her to feel bored of life and supposedly wanting to share more about her life, and also to be supposedly wanting to start shifting the direction of her content overall for some strange reason. Probably more empty, fake garbage, trying to mirror what I'm doing somehow and lying about how she perceives me to be feeling to try to do some destiny swapping thing. I don't share things about my life because I'm bored. I'm sharing things about my life because it's actually that bad, because pieces of trash like Jamie intentionally have tried to leave me in this state and benefit from it. I couldn't care less whether or not Jamie is bored. I was never trying to entertain her. But clearly, part of why she's enjoyed being so toxic and such a negative influence in my life is because she's such a psychopath that she genuinely sees it as entertaining to see me terrorized and miserable and suffering constantly. I don't believe for even a second that her mental state has been trashed for only the last roughly 2 to 3 years, because it's got to have been a lot longer in reality for her to be this screwed up to ever have dared to be so disgusting to me. But considering her perceiving it how she is, then that basically means it started getting really bad right around the time Kimmy started seriously losing control over being able to endlessly suppress and sabotage me from speaking up for myself and trying to come up with endless excuses to try to make me look and feel like I'm somehow some extremely schizo, massive, narcissist subhuman filth for speaking the truth about how horrible everyone I was ever close to has actually been to me. Coincidence? I think not.
The Blackpink hate is so forced. I fucking agree. I mean, like, Blackpink is like literally the it girls. So I understand where their hate is coming from, and I always say this. I feel like if people are not hating, that means like, or if people are hating a lot, you might just be like it girl material. That's what I tell myself when I get hate.
It seems Jamie somehow uses K-pop in her attention-seeking endeavors and to stroke her ego, perhaps in no short measure, specifically in how she attempts to endlessly exploit me. I don't have hate for any actual K-pop group, but I don't particularly love any either. I certainly can enjoy some music in the genre, and it's one of my favorites, but I've never considered that particularly relevant to my connection with anyone, certainly including but not limited to Kimmy and Jamie. I actually wouldn't have even brought this up on its own, but there was also something I'll address later from that stream that makes K-pop really seem strangely relevant to how I've been getting exploited.
Okay, this is how I can describe my life right now. Like, I'm like sitting in my room and I'm like, should I apply to MasterChef and get my life together? Or should I apply for Love Island? That's me right now. Because I'm really like, that's the crossroads of my life right now. I'm like I genuinely do not know if the next 10 years of my life is going to be crazy or if it's going to be like really peaceful. I have no fucking idea. I feel like it's in my power.
I couldn't care less whether Jamie goes on MasterChef or Love Island or both or neither, nor has it ever been otherwise. Nor has anyone ever had any actually adequate reason to ever believe otherwise. What's perhaps more strange is that Jamie seems practically surprised and confused that she even feels like she actually has a choice in the matter, as if she's basically exposing herself that she's such a massive fraud, she's in reality extremely painfully aware that she doesn't actually deserve to have such a choice. What that actually means for her, I don't know. I consider whether the next 10 years of Jamie's life will be chaotic or more peaceful to be entirely irrelevant to my decisions. Either way, my position isn't changing over it. Also, in case it wasn't already clear enough, I haven't been over here pondering between two wildly different life choices like Jamie's apparently been doing.
That stuff is staged, it isn't real. This stream isn't real.
This kind of thing really shows how screwed up Jamie's mental state really is. There's an extremely serious matter that Jamie, and for much of it also Kimmy, tackle with that stream. To frame it explicitly with a statement that it all isn't real throws the whole thing into this extremely disturbing chaos zone where everything is so massively open to interpretation and so volatile with how someone's reaction to it can be perceived. It also inherently attempts to water down and discredit any reaction or response as itself also not real, for even addressing it as if it's at all based on reality, even though there's clearly real matters that it's handling perception of. While I repeatedly, extremely clearly insist that everything I'm saying is completely serious and real, and I keep proving it's not some kind of role-playing or fiction or anything with any kind of ulterior motives, these extremely abusive, psychotic, massive frauds blatantly flaunt terrorizing me with the complete opposite. Literally say they're extremely mentally ill and mentally unstable and fake, yet I'm the one being treated like a schizo-narcissist fraud subhuman filth. This exact same kind of behavior, just less exceedingly blatantly obvious, has been occurring for the last several years, long before I started this podcast. I saw it mostly just from Kimmy, but that's because the dynamics behind the scenes were obviously being intentionally hidden from me to try to maximize the harm brought to my life and maximize the potency of attempts to drive me crazy and make me suicidal and generally prone to anger that would be weaponized against me when I responded to the intentional infliction of emotional distress on me that was occurring the entire time.
Abby is 6? Oh my god, I'm just gonna kill myself. No, don't say that.
What the hell kind of reaction is that? To say you're going to kill yourself because your cat is 6 years old? I've noticed Jamie's increasingly throwing around saying she's going to kill herself. Increasingly with disregard for the fact that she's coming off kinda serious. I'm pretty sure she should be considered entering territory that's violating Twitch's terms of service, but then again, they champion open terrorism support and don't really have an issue with aggressive anti-Semitism, so I guess her behavior pales in comparison and she won't get any kind of real punishment for it. I guess at least it shows Jamie seems to perhaps recognize she's such a scumbag for how much terrorism she's perpetuated in my life that, perhaps combined with all the harm she's likely done to others, she might actually not be a net positive for the world to continue living. Well, if she's going to continue being as harmful towards me as she was blatantly flaunting being in that stream, I'm most certainly not going to try to convince her otherwise. It might be worth noting that it seems Jamie got her cat not very long before I ended up feeling such extreme distress that I decided to start writing the document courts called a manifesto. I didn't know that, and I never considered the two related, but it seems the reality of how screwed up Jamie's been might actually end up revealing otherwise.
I'm good today though. I just needed yesterday to cry. What if I'm actually the healthy one? Because I go through my emotions, guys. Maybe you guys should think about that. Maybe I'm the healthy one.
Jamie talking about being extremely mentally unstable clearly wasn't a joke. No matter how much she wants to say her stream isn't real, her mental instability clearly is real. She's having mental breakdowns and crying regularly, and it's so bad she feels the need to share it on social media pretty often. Crying a lot can be seen as dealing with your emotions, but with other things I'll expose in this release, you can clearly see it's extremely disgusting that she's trying to act like this behavior that in reality shows just how unstable she really is somehow instead an indication she's mentally healthy. And her smug expression at the end there really doesn't help any attempts to argue I'm somehow wrong.
Yeah, you guys should cry and record yourself and then laugh at yourself later. Guys, don't suppress your emotions. That's bad.
Yeah, because it's totally healthy and normal to be so emotionally volatile that you can have serious breakdowns where you're crying your eyes out and for some reason feel compelled to record it and then look back at it a bit later and laugh at yourself as if your serious emotions are a complete joke. Except there's a good reason most people don't do that. Immediately following it up with giving her audience the advice not to suppress their emotions with a sad expression on her face seems to show quite clearly she even recognizes it's the result of her suppressing her emotions and that it's really harmful, yet she seems to intend to just continue and ultimately act like it's perfectly fine that she's so extremely unhinged. I've had to make several releases exposing her so massively on this podcast, and yet I still see absolutely zero meaningful results or positive change to my life while she continues to attempt to suppress and sabotage me to literal death increasingly aggressively with Kimmy.
How am I doing mentally today? I'm so good today. I got all my emotions out yesterday. I just need to like do stuff. Like, well, like I think like I just was so busy the last 2 weeks. Like my mental is good, and then like I try to rest. I just like cannot be alone with my thoughts. Like I should not be alone with my thoughts. So that's what I'm learning.
Yeah, and it's so mentally healthy to be unable to be alone with your thoughts too, right? Have you ever heard me talking about I shouldn't be left alone with my thoughts? Literally never. And from what I can tell, I've been through a lot worse than anything Jamie's been through. I refuse to believe she's been through worse than the kinds of things I've been through, and yet she just never talks about it nor can prove it in any actually meaningful manner. If you're being real and anyone seriously challenges you like I've been challenging Jamie, you should have no reservations to destroy them with the truth, especially if you can be so vicious trying to destroy someone with blatant lies. You obviously won't get respect or meaningfully counteract damage to your reputation by letting yourself get cancelled and never really defending yourself. Clearly, the reason why Kimmy and Jamie do psychotic things like that stream, instead of ever actually properly addressing what I've been saying, is because they don't have any actually good response and they know it. And it literally only gets much more obvious the more that stream progresses.
There are a lot of veggies, but Kimmy likes veggies, so looks bad. What's your guys' favorite vegetable?
I won't bother including all the times Jamie and later Kimmy ultimately ended up repeating that Kimmy loves vegetables that stream, but there was this weird vibe I got where all the mentions of vegetables and Jamie asking her audience what their favorite vegetable is has some kind of weird significance that would try to discredit everything I'm saying if I completely neglected addressing it. Even if I'm wrong about that, I'll still mention that I've never told anyone of me having a favorite vegetable, and I don't see any truly adequate reason to share such a thing about myself with anyone anytime soon, if ever. I also don't know why vegetables seemed so strangely relevant to underlying narratives. I don't feel I should bother trying to guess either.
It's easy to be lazy. It is easy to be lazy, but don't. Just try. Try a little bit. You only have one life. You could be lazy when you're dead.
This is the caliber of advice you get from Jamie. Don't be lazy, guys. You can be lazy when you're dead. You know, because that isn't extremely schizo. I've decided to try being sarcastic sometimes for this release to try to deal with how difficult the unhinged, psychotic behavior I'm being forced to deal with is. I probably should make sure I've said that explicitly at least once before these maniacs try to act like it makes any real sense to believe I actually meant any of the obviously sarcastic statements I'm making to be taken literally. When you're dead, you're fucking dead. You can't be lazy. You can't be anything except dead. Alternative interpretations of what dead really means seeming so heavily relevant that even making a statement like that seems at all appropriate to Jamie further solidifies my assertions about extremely false narrative perpetuation behind the scenes. I myself have not been and do not plan to become some lazy slob ever, and at least for me, that never had anything to do with some kind of perception of me being dead.
I don't want to be married. I want to be a sugar baby. Men used to go to war. Now they want to be sugar babies. Me, well, actually, no, I don't want to be a sugar baby. I'd actually rather be a sugar mama.
I couldn't care less if Jamie wants to be a sugar baby or sugar mama. I've never particularly cared for being either, nor been particularly looking for either. It doesn't matter to me how Kimmy feels about those topics either, because it ultimately won't change my position. If Kimmy had a strong stance on it, she should have mentioned it in all the years I've been closely paying attention to her online activity, but she never really did. I'm not really bothered by it either. I am bothered, though, by Jamie presumably acting like I'm weird or a bad person or a fraud or something, because I'm unwilling to embrace some clearly disingenuous romantic dynamic with her despite her possible desires to spoil her partner. She never had any really adequate reason to believe it had ever changed my position. I don't look for an intimate partner with a focus on financial considerations. I never have, and I never will. I've never said, nor ever even implied otherwise to anyone either at all.
If I don't have sesame oil, I'm gonna kill myself.
Again, Jamie casually just throwing out committing suicide. There was no just kidding or anything like that even after. It's like it should just be understood that Jamie's blatantly becoming increasingly suicidal as a result of being exposed for the reality of her attitude and behavior, especially in relation to how she's contributed to the problem this podcast exposes the truth about. And it's to the point where even the smallest difficulties in her life are causing her to spiral. Despite that, I continue to see utter refusal from everyone to ever do anything actually meaningful about it all, except continue to try to harm me and help her try to cover it up. It's not like I've wanted to leave Jamie suicidal, but I've never owed it to anyone to throw away my integrity, dignity, self-respect, and self-love for Jamie's comfort. And I'm never letting that change either. She wanted me suicidal, clearly, and now she's getting karma for it. I don't feel sorry for her at all, and I'm not at all inclined to give her any mercy.
Hi. Hold on, let me bring. Huh?
Oh my god, that looks amazing! This is on your doorknob.
Oh, thank you. Here you go.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, I'm so lucky!
Rice, cabbage rolls, stir-fried veggie,
Bro.
and marinated egg.
Chad, did you see this? Do you see this, Chad? Oh my god! Do you see this?
Happy dinner!
Dude, I'm like the best treated boyfriend in the entire world. Are you kidding me? Look! Oh my gosh! This looks amazing!
Healthy. It's healthy dinner.
There were multiple parts of that stream that disturbingly behave as if to be some kind of progression of revealing some kind of serious romantic and perhaps also sexual involvement between Kimmy and Jamie. This is quite damning for both of them for multiple reasons, and in no short measure even those that I'll address just in this release specifically. I've never felt any jealousy towards Kimmy if she has actually had some kind of serious intimate involvement with Jamie, but that also doesn't mean I ever wanted to try to help her with it or at all sacrifice myself for her to enjoy it at my expense against my consent. And I have no reason to be jealous of Jamie being involved like that with Kimmy when you'd have to be in massive denial if you don't recognize Kimmy clearly has some kind of serious feelings towards me for one reason or another that left things in the state they're in. And I could be jealous if they've actually had physical sexual intimacy in person together, which I guess they probably did. But at this point, I'm going to destroy both their lives if I don't get a lot with Kimmy, to the point it's definitely a lot more than Jamie would ever possibly get anyways. If Kimmy would seriously rather end up in prison or dying an early death in real life than actually be good to me, I guess you could try to argue that maybe my absolute unwillingness to ever even consider doing anything even close to actually dating anyone ever again is some kind of really spiteful, hateful thing to make them both miserable and bring a lot of negative energy into their lives. But to that, I say, I honestly don't give a fuck if you don't like me because of that. And I believe they'd both deserve everything they'd ever get, and even worse in that case. It's not a debate or a negotiation. I get what I want and deserve, or I will literally see it as my mission and purpose in life to absolutely destroy their lives and thoroughly make them regret ever being born. Like what they clearly tried to do to me, except I will succeed because my reasoning for doing it isn't that of subhuman filth.
What were you doing?
What was I doing? I was cleaning and just like designing some stuff.
Ooh.
Thinking about you and your cooking.
Aww. Oh, this is. The company's great. It's a date. Yeah, I was cooking. I was like, ooh, Kimmy's gonna like this one.
I love this kind of.
Can I use your phone and take a photo? Because you gotta use my phone to stream. That's why I never post photos of my food on stream. Because like I can't take photos.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh wait. So good.
Mm.
Damn. Oh, this reminds me of our Just Friends days back when we
Oh
were
my
just
God.
friends.
Yeah, except I cook way better now, I think.
Well, it was like I thought you cooked well back then because I didn't really know any better cooking that my friends could do. So I thought it was good back then too. But you did get a lot better.
I'm gonna use your dippy sauce.
Oh yeah, put it in the middle. Just ends, Pepe hands.
Just ends.
Yeah, really on a fine line there with the whole trying to act like it's a joke. Again, I know girls can joke around about stuff like that, and that's kind of normal, but it really seems disingenuous to me to try to basically abuse that here, to act like I'm crazy if I get angry, that it's like Kimmy and Jamie are somehow so egregiously misrepresenting and exploiting me that somehow my efforts that should have resulted in Kimmy dating me are bringing Kimmy and Jamie to date officially. That's extremely disturbing to me to even think of. Kimmy's further implying they're seriously more than simply friends right after with back when we were just friends, which is, I guess, also probably somehow a heavily political thing behind the scenes with a bunch of playing with words garbage. Like, this unhinged and absolutely psychotic, or even if I'm being extremely generous, at the very least, really strange behavior that's increasingly coming off like some really dark public humiliation fetish is not something I've ever found at all arousing, for the record, nor at all actually beneficial to me. I want it extremely clear that I have never been and am not and will never be trying to at all validate Kimmy and Jamie officially dating. And I most certainly do not consider it at all okay if they do.
I mean, out of my whole chat, like, there's probably one I would date, you know?
No.
The Calvin Klein model, hit me up. DM me.
Performative male wave. Now we have to walk out of the house with
Do
accessories.
you know what performative male wave is? Okay,
What is that?
okay, like, we know a lot of performative males. It's not a bad thing. It's like, okay, it's like a guy who like gets into things for a woman. So like they'll get into Labubu, they'll get like a matcha latte.
Just for the women, not because they actually like it.
Well, they do like it, but it's like still performative.
Even if they like it.
I feel like a lot of those guys, like, okay, there's some guys who just really, really like it, but there's definitely guys where it's like, you know, they did it because like the women are into it.
That's why they give it a shot in the first place, kind of thing.
Yeah. And they have like a book on the side, 48 Laws of
yeah,
Power.
no. Dude, men with books are totally
Yeah, so then the TikTok performative male memes, like it's just guys who come out and they have like a Labubu on their jeans and they're holding like the 48 Laws of Power book while holding a matcha latte. Like doing that, that's like performative male.
I also read a study though that said that people who practice self-expression a lot have higher levels of like happiness because expressing yourself gives you a lot of dopamine, which is good for the brain. So I think like if it's performative, it's kind of like cringe, but as long as it's like self-expression, if you feel good doing it and it gives you that dopamine, then like fuck yeah, we should be encouraging that stuff. If you like your matcha lattes, then go for it, you know? But don't do it just because girls like it.
It's just. I mean, I'm a performative female. Look, I just cook.
But this is what you love doing.
I'm a performative female for sure. Like I like turn the camera on. I'm like, So I come over. I'm cooking lobster rolls. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's the thing. It's like,
I don't really know anything about a performative male wave or whatever that was about exactly, but I know that this podcast has always been completely authentic self-expression for me. If you want to argue there's a performative aspect, I don't really know where the point of that is. It's creative and that can be seen as artistic. I don't really like how it sounds to be calling me dramatic because usually when you think of calling someone dramatic, you're kind of saying they're like overly exaggerating something and it's like fake. I don't consider any part of what I've been doing with this podcast fake. I'm being fully authentic in everything I've been saying, and if I got any of the details I've been saying wrong at all, I still to this day don't see any real evidence to even suggest I've gotten anything wrong and haven't already corrected it. And even though I'd say this podcast is self-expression, and there's certainly a part of me that feels good being able to speak my mind publicly and not feel suffocated with being defamed so egregiously, the reason I'd even speak up is so grossly misrepresented that it's basically useless for me to even try. I also don't like how that might be getting mixed in with strange framing, as if that now means I'm enjoying having to be more cruel, harsh, or literally being forced into positions where I come off really unhinged or something. In an ideal scenario, Kimmy would be treating me a lot better and not being such an unhinged lunatic, and I wouldn't have to be so harsh and mean and deal with this extremely antagonistic dynamic constantly. This doesn't even feel like any kind of healthy disagreement. It literally feels like an extremely vicious, brutal war. And even if it seems like I'm winning, and even if I am actually winning, I really can't see a world where I ever actually feel like a winner if I don't end up with the connection I've always wanted with Kimmy. It's extremely deeply hurtful beyond words to me that it really seems less and less likely, or even really possible, with every passing day like this.
hot girls never charge their phone.
I charge it every night. I'm so bad. I charge
Okay,
it
but
at
you're like a responsible hot girl now.
Aww.
Like I expect to get there
Thanks,
soon.
Dad.
Hopefully.
Kimmy is what this world considers a responsible hot girl. But then again, this is Jamie's perspective we're talking about here, so her idea of responsible is probably so trash that her opinion of Kimmy as responsible probably really doesn't mean much of anything. I myself don't see Kimmy as very responsible at all. I'm pretty sure I've made my reasons obvious enough. This is seriously going in the direction of me actually filing for litigation at the very least. How many of the hitmen sent after me were because of Kimmy and Jamie? Or who else wants to take responsibility for that? Aggravating, inflammatory, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Imagine if I had to deal with things like this on the regular for the next, over a year while I'm pursuing damages? The damage from that itself would be a whole next, even bigger lawsuit. At the very least, Kimmy might as well just be running her candle business to hand over the money to me at this point, after I'd sue her for everything she's got.
Young beauties. Oh my god, stop. You think I'm young? Oh my god.
Thank you.
Oh my god, thank you.
A battery
Oh,
bank? Oh my god.
fuck.
I need a battery.
Man, do you have beer?
No beer? I have one.
Let's get lit. Woo!
Wait, I'm kind of down.
Wait, really? Wait, really? Jamie's never down.
I know, it's just life. Ooh, you want like... Oh wait, let me look for the wine.
Wine
You should
time.
tell Jess to come too. Girls, wine night!
So down.
So Kimmy's extremely insecure about her age, and Jamie's extremely insecure about her looks, and they're likely somehow divination abusing to try to siphon what they desire more of feeling for themselves from each other, which also feeds off their communities and ultimately even those that even might have once been accepted into them, like me. That dynamic is going to have to stop, at least when it comes to me. Age was never something Kimmy had any real reason to feel insecure about when it comes to how I've treated her, and I've never even once tried to make her feel like she's unattractive compared to Jamie or even younger women in general. And I've never been giving consent to Jamie to exploit my genuine feelings of how attractive I find Kimmy in order to make herself somehow more desirable entirely at my expense. They also brought up Jessica multiple times in that stream. Seems them both exploiting Jessica to achieve that dynamic, while offering up Jessica exploiting me even further as some kind of sacrifice to make it somehow worth Jessica's time and energy is what's been happening. Again, that's going to have to stop completely, at least when it comes to me. Or I can guarantee you that crying and complaining about it on my podcast isn't going to be all I'll end up doing. And most likely, neither will just filing for litigation. There are multiple other things I can do, absolutely none of which at all compromise my integrity, which I can most certainly make sure cause extreme damage to Kimmy's life in retaliation for the harm I'd only increasingly be able to prove she must have always been trying to bring to mine absolutely unconditionally. If I'm going to have to suffer being homeless, literally eating out of garbage bins to survive, and with the constant looming threat of hitmen being sent after me, and me being prone to getting fucking shot dead daily for having been such a good person, only being viciously, brutally, entirely non-consensually, exclusively detrimentally punished for it by literally everyone I've ever been close to, there's eventually going to come a point where serious escalation is going to end up the only thing that really makes sense to me if things continue like this.
What's something you think people should appreciate more about you? Wait, what?
Oh, I mean.
What's something you think people should appreciate more about you?
Ooh. I think I'm very uplifting. I'm very inspiring. People don't recognize that. Like, I'll start getting to know someone, or like, I'll hang out with a new friend, and they'll be like, wow, I feel so inspired, like, to do this and that, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, because you're talking to me.
It's true. Jamie is very, very, very encouraging and inspiring, and people don't know that about her. Jamie has, like, she loves seeing people just, like, be successful and happy and do what makes them happy, because that's how she leads her life, and people don't realize how she sparks that in people.
Yeah,
like,
and if anything, people go like I feel like they see that I do something and they're like, oh wow, like if Jamie can do it, I can do it, but they don't know that they're thinking that. So then I'm like,
but then you give them the confidence.
yeah, I give them the confidence.
She feeds the delusion, but then it actually
real.
becomes true.
People are just like, oh, I don't know why I feel so inspired today.
They don't give you credit for that? That's crazy.
No, some people do.
Ugh.
They're just so funny.
Dude, I feel like I'm gonna rip this off.
Wait, what about you?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I feel like people don't I'm lagging. My brain is lagging.
By you?
I feel like I'm
You
gonna
might
tear
need
it off.
you might need a wine thing.
Really? I feel like people don't appreciate my... It's so weird doing it for yourself, you know what I mean? People don't appreciate...
I feel like
Why?
people should appreciate that you're not like you're so kind and peaceful. You're not as crazy as you can be.
Oh, Okay.
like there's a lot of times where you could choose a worse action.
Oh yeah.
But you always choose like a good, nice, peaceful action.
There.
I personally have never felt Jamie as inspiring. I guess you could argue she had some kind of uplifting effect on the meetup dynamic when I met her, but I mean, I haven't really followed what she does much in all the years since. And what I've experienced as Kimmy taking nice, peaceful actions is really her just being extremely manipulative and controlling and abusive and pretending to others that she's peaceful and I'm the problem. She causes problems in my life, constantly intentionally inflicts emotional distress on me, and provokes me to snap at her and others, and then sits back and laughs while calling me a stalker incel and acting like I'm this crazy creep that was acting unhinged and toxic and cruel to her from the very beginning of our connection. And then cries and begs for me to come back after she realizes I'm not like seemingly every other person she's ever had any kind of at all serious intimate connection with, only to do the same thing all over again if I try to give her a chance to gracefully accept my presence in her life. Meanwhile, the only reason I ever even cared to keep talking to her after how toxic she was at the meetup is because she seemed deeply touched and seriously affected in a positive way when I was really warm to her after in DMs and told her I really care about her and I'm really serious about my intimate feelings and desires towards her and actually really want to take a lasting long-term intimate connection with her seriously if she's seriously interested. Her reaction was to go talk to Leslie like she's starstruck and then ramble for I'm pretty sure it was over 4 hours on her following stream about what she looks for in a relationship and all this stuff. The way she talks about reading studies in psychology and all this, you'd think she's been acting like some kind of therapist or something for me. But from my perspective, I've been the one regulating her emotions and being like a therapist for her. And not only has she never financially compensated me at all, she doesn't even show me any real respect or kindness, and she's even intentionally conspired against me. And I don't know what idea of love you'd have to consider her behavior towards me up to this point loving, but it sure isn't my definition of love. Not even close. Maybe there are many other situations in Kimmy's life where she could have been a menace and chose not to. I don't really know about that, and I really don't know much about her personal life beyond what she shares publicly. But at least in how she treats me, she's extremely unhinged and psychotic, not just a menace, a massive narcissist. Right there, you see Kimmy and Jamie blatantly admit they stroke each other's egos massively, and I'm forced to just suffer extremely life-threatening deprivation while Jamie constantly behaves like an even bigger psychopath, and Kimmy lets her deny it, and Kimmy acts even more psychotic, and Jamie lets her deny it, and it just repeats. Again, neither of them have my consent to do this to me. They never did.
But yeah, so going back to that last part, I will say that there were a lot of moments where I could have chosen to be a menace, but I choose to take the higher route for the sake of peace. And that's just the person I am, and people don't appreciate it.
You're just a good person. Like I remember like a month ago I was like, damn, do I know any good people?
No.
Like truly good, because a lot of people are good for their own good, and I was like, I think Kimmy might be the only like good person I know.
Aw, Jamie did tell me this earlier, and I swear to God, Jamie's like so convinced that she's not a good person, except I think that she's a good person in denial, which is crazy. and she thinks I'm like a crazy person in denial. But yeah, that's why you get along.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really hard to take the peaceful route, especially when you just want to crash out on a bitch. Especially when you're so valid in crashing out.
No.
Especially when you deserve to crash out.
Yeah.
It's so hard to put that aside and just choose peace for all parties involved and just move on with your life without crashing out.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard, and it's so underappreciated. Well, that was such a good one. I would have never thought that for myself, but that's a really good one. It is very underappreciated.
I got you, man.
But it's always worth it in the end.
Yeah.
It's always worth it.
For your
I
own
never
peace.
regret it. In the moment, I regret it, and there's still sometimes I wish I crashed out on that bitch who did that one thing. But like, you never regret it in the long term. You
Yeah.
never regret it.
I feel you. Sometimes, maybe someday it'll come.
We'll just write tell-alls when we're 90 and no one cares about us anymore. It's okay. Let out my pent-up feelings to Jamie. She has to hear it all.
Just remind her.
Really annoying that they can try to act like I'm just crazy for having to interpret this in at least one of the ways they clearly had in mind while saying it, if not the primary thing they had in mind. If Kimmy's refraining from raging at anyone from my past who I've exposed as being absolutely horrible to me, she's not doing me any favors, I can tell you that much. And if she's talking about crashing out on me, I'm not scared of that. I was never scared of that. She was always the coward, avoiding everything. Her crash out would have to be having a mental breakdown begging to date me, I guess. I don't know. That just seems like a joke to even really consider what happened at this point. I mean, if she was serious about wanting to date me, she should have just directly contacted me first and not ended up having a seemingly random, dramatic public meltdown about it. If she's going to try to say she did whatever she wanted and feels she shouldn't have to talk with me first, presumably because I didn't give her any warning or sneak peeks or anything at what I was doing, I haven't proven myself to be conspiring against her with her friends or anyone else. I really don't know how crazy her life would have to be for her to be able to seem even remotely actually sane and reasonable and sincere trying to explain that, especially if we're talking about to me personally. If she tried going as far as calling me out on stream, trying to demand I go on a call with her on stream or something, I feel like that seems like a huge trap at this point. Her and her friends are already pretending that I'm friends with them. I definitely don't know how things would go if I actually did that. I certainly don't feel I have any guarantee she wouldn't just dump some crazy narrative onto me that very well might even be a massive lie, but that she expects to just send a huge mob of hate towards me to terrorize my life further with, while refusing to even let me respond after, or trying to control the narrative about it even more aggressively than she already has been trying to do with my life entirely against my consent. And just to make sure I'm being very clear, it wouldn't matter if Kimmy was saying she's going to ask to date me or she wants to talk to me as my girlfriend or something like that. I'd be extremely suspicious both that I was supposed to interpret it as a joke or an I'm so angel kind of moment, even if she didn't make it really obvious as such, as well as that she specifically wanted to refuse any prior direct communication privately. And that doesn't mean my position has changed or will change ever at all either. I'm seriously not trying to date anyone else or pursue ulterior motives. I feel like it's only more reason for Kimmy to want to talk to me privately first if she's seriously been concerned I'm trying to use her or have any kind of ulterior motives.
Have you ever caught me in a lie? Did you ever confront me about it?
Okay.
Why are you laughing like that? I swear I've never lied to you.
There's one white lie I caught you in.
What?
I don't know if it's a lie or not. And I have it, but it's super white, and it wasn't to me. It was someone else, but it's like a funny. I need to ask you off stream if it's something that you actually did or not. But I understood why you lied in that moment.
I'm so curious to know what that is.
It's actually just like, it's really harmless. Like,
I think if I do lie to somebody, it's to keep the peace.
yeah.
Or it's like
No. It's not that deep. Like, like, I think someone asked you like, oh, like, Kimmy, have you ever seen this show? And you're like, yeah, but I knew you didn't see it.
oh, like stuff like that.
Yeah. But it's really funny because we're talking to like strangers, so it doesn't matter.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's really funny for me because I'm like, I mean, I lie like that all the time.
In the moment, like I don't really. Sometimes I get so like pressured in the moment to respond that I don't think about.
It's easier
if
to just be like yes or no. Like it's easier to just like move on.
I just give them an answer without thinking about it. That is true. I do that sometimes.
There's definitely something seriously weird going on with Jamie telling people Kimmy lies to her. First, Jamie's talking about she doesn't know if it's a lie or not. Then later, when Kimmy starts going in with defending herself and seeing it as deep and trying to explain her perspective, Jamie suddenly switches up and starts saying, oh yeah, it was so innocent, I knew you lied. What? She just said she didn't know if it was a lie, and then when Kimmy feels hurt, now suddenly it's less and less serious? Kimmy looked hurt that Jamie even said she ever lied to her at all, and laughed some maniacal sounding laugh about the question. And it didn't even seem like the blatantly disingenuous I'm so angel kind of attitude either. Also, I don't consider any lies Kimmy's ever told me as something she did to keep the peace. At least not to keep the peace in my life. If she was selfishly just trying to keep her own peace entirely at my expense against my consent, or appease others betraying me and doing horrible things to me and helping them build peace for themselves and others at my expense against my consent, then obviously I don't appreciate that. And obviously it was all happening entirely against my consent, but it really seems like she acts like just because she's the most physically attractive person I could ever imagine existing, and I've always taken it extremely seriously to be seeing her as the love of my life in general because of the good parts I've seen in her personality and stuff as well, now suddenly it's like I consented to all that hellish nightmare shit. No, I didn't. That was her being an absolute demon. All of it. Extremely fucked up. Absolutely fucking psychotic and narcissistic. And absolutely nothing anyone's doing is actually anything that's making it worthwhile for me to have suffered dealing with it up to this point, while her disrespect and neglect continues to erode at my existence, try to leave me trapped in extremely life-threatening deprivation forever, and completely ostracize me from society, all entirely against my consent. Her lying about her behavior towards me being even remotely appropriate is not something that should be seen as keeping the peace. And avoiding lying to me directly by completely refusing to talk to me at all sure as fuck isn't keeping the peace either.
You have blue ones too.
What's something I can never seem to remember about you? Like I keep on forgetting.
That's so funny.
Let me think if there's one about you for me.
Like we both have one for each other for sure. We're just not remembering.
Yeah, we always have to remind you like.
Oh.
Never seem to remember that. Like this is such a good one.
This is a good one, but
like,
we both are forgetful.
I just can't remember. This is why we can never remember the things about each other.
But we do remember things about each other. Like there's just a lot.
Okay, so what that part seems to reveal is that when it comes to public behavior, Kimmy and Jamie never seem to remember something or multiple things about each other that so seriously reveals something really bad about them, which is so bad that both of them need it publicly known that such a thing exists, but neither of them are innocent enough of harming others as a result to actually say what it is. What a surprise! I might not know about or myself possess irrefutable evidence to fully expose exactly what they might be talking about, but I'd guess it has something to do with the dynamic they clearly have established to try to get each other attention by targeting and attacking others and trying to siphon their energy like massive narcissists. I don't believe for a second that either of them are quite as stupid as they pretend to be in public.
Kimmy sounds like she prides herself on honesty. Yeah, she does. You definitely do.
I really do.
Honesty and fairness, and like, she's just a good person.
You know why? It's not even like this life. Like, I didn't even choose this life. This life chose me. Because if I live like a dishonest life, I start seeing demons. Like, I swear to God, my life just like, you know what I mean? Like, my life just gets too headachy.
I think I'm honest, but not as fair. Like, I don't have.
But you're honestly unfair.
I'm pretty honest and fair.
You're like, I'm honestly just a girl, so like, hold my bag. Kind of thing. That's like you.
Yeah, realistic.
Saying you didn't choose to be honest and fair, but that life chose you, means you're not actually such an amazing person. You're basically saying that you don't want to be honest and fair at all, but you're basically forced to after being such a massive piece of shit that you're probably going to end up in prison and or dying an early death rather quickly if you continue to be such an absolutely diabolical demon as you've been in the past with dishonesty and unfairness. I could live a really dishonest life if I wanted, and I wouldn't start seeing demons like some crazy shit that would make my life unbearable as a result of that. In fact, if I started lying and trying to manipulate people, it'd probably make my life substantially easier at this point. The reason I don't do it isn't because I can't. It's because I have real integrity and dignity, and I just don't want to be that kind of person, and I don't want to throw away the kind of life I've been trying to build for myself. That's very different. Kimmy's clearly living a substantially dishonest life and being exceedingly unacceptably unfair in how she's treating me right now and been treating me all these years, so her saying she's honest and fair is just massive bullshit outright, as far as anyone even remotely sane or reasonable should be concerned. Jamie's clearly stroking her ego to perpetuate sabotage and suppression of my life. I'm not saying that Kimmy must be the most dishonest and unfair demon ever to everyone in her life. I can't imagine that being true, but I feel like she feels entitled to taking out her anger about everything in life out on me with how she's dealt with me, and she treats me so horribly that I'd bet she intentionally is a lot better to her friends, partially so it's a lot easier for her to convince them I've always been the problem here. Jamie's attitude is bullshit too. Honest but not as fair? Neither of these massive schizos are actually fair or honest to any substantial degree from what I've personally experienced of them. Maybe Jamie's seen as honestly unfair in a good way somehow to complete clowns that are so shit at life they need to take advice and be scolded by someone as unhinged and blatantly mentally unstable as Jamie. But to me, that just becomes a blatant admission that she's even more openly, blatantly, publicly, unapologetically unhinged in how she's treating me and handling this conflict, which is only increasingly evident with that stream and probably the kind of even more escalating, inflammatory, psychotic shit her and Kimmy will probably end up doing in response to this, despite all my efforts actually being honest and actually trying to be fair. This is already a long-established pattern of behavior. They justify treating me horribly because they provoke rage in me, and then act like it's more reasonable to believe it's because I have some weird ulterior motive that I'm angry, rather than them ever taking accountability for hiding things from me maliciously from the very beginning and intentionally sending mixed signals and inflicting emotional distress on me relentlessly and extremely viciously. Or if they aren't acting like I have an ulterior motive, then they just pretend I'm extremely mentally ill and have no real actually good goal or strategy for what I'm doing.
How many kids is too many kids, and how many do you want?
I think if I'm really good at being pregnant, I'm down for 3. But if not, I just want 1.
I think 1 kid is too many. But I still want like maybe 2.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I won't know how much is too many until I have one.
True.
And then by the time I have one, it might have been too many.
Damn. Okay, realistically, 4 kids is too many because then you have to buy a bigger car. Because
you're right.
Like, right? But I'd even say 3 is pushing it because then you can't sit 4 at a table and you can't go to Disneyland because it's like 2 and 2.
Right.
So I actually think above 2 is like too many, but like for sure above 3 is too many because it's just not practical.
That's true. You can just get 3 children, and if it doesn't work out, you leave one in the dumpster.
What? You can just keep one for backup, just in case something happens
Like
to
in
it
your
first
inventory, just leave it in your inventory.
Just leave it in your inventory. It's crazy.
Give one to your friends. You know, Arya's always like, oh, like I really don't want a daughter, like I want a son. And I was like, oh, I want a daughter. He's like, if we swap, like you want to just trade?
Bro. Oh my god,
We just trade them at birth. That's some shit
God.
Arya and I would do. Like that's some shit like
I wouldn't even be surprised.
yeah, that's some shit we would do.
Trading Pokemon.
It's really disturbing to me that Kimmy saying 1 kid is too many so confidently can be seen to indicate she's talking from personal experience of actually having a child to know that way that it's too much for her. On the flip side, if she was saying she knows she doesn't want even 1 child, then that's aligned with how I feel about the topic of ever having children, so that's good. But it's even more disturbing to hear her then immediately follow up with saying she still wants maybe 2 children. So you already know 1 feels like too much, but you somehow would want another as well? This is what Jamie considers responsible, by the way, keep in mind. Sounds like Kimmy might be saying it to appease someone, but it certainly can't be me. Well, any children Kimmy ever has will be cursed by the fact that she never should have had them if she was okay with getting involved with me how she did, and that's not my fault. I knew from the very beginning that I never wanted kids with anyone, and it's never changing, and I've never wavered from that position either. Kimmy's literally said publicly on multiple occasions in the past that she doesn't want children either, and now she's going on about wanting 2? My position remains consistent. I don't believe Kimmy's being sincere on what she wants there, and she's certainly not being consistent nor responsible in the position she's presenting herself to have there. If we go by seriously analyzing the schizo interpretation where streamers consider their viewers children, maybe the weird things Jamie was saying about swapping kids with Arya is some kind of indication that Kimmy has tried to manipulate and abuse me into being stuck, trapped in some situation where Arya has been trying to more aggressively, blatantly control and destroy my life in a situation where I was lying about my gender identity, and Jamie has been trying to more aggressively, blatantly control and destroy my life since I've been honest about it. That most certainly should be seen as obviously not okay with me. I'm not trying to speak on behalf of everyone they ever might have subjected to such a dynamic, but I want my own feelings and position on it extremely clear.
What am I so inept at that it makes you feel better about yourself?
Wait, what am I so inept at?
Yeah, that makes it like you feel better about yourself because I'm so bad at something and like vice versa.
That's such a funny question. Wow. They want us to like be honest. I feel like you're such a good person, it makes me want to like test the waters of not.
Wait, that's the opposite.
Let the record show Jamie has admitted she exploits her dynamic with Kimmy because Kimmy appears to end up in positions she has to be or for whatever reason is supposedly good where Jamie feels empowered to be increasingly unhinged and psychotically malicious as a result, further proving my assertions that they've had an extremely predatory dynamic, intentionally maliciously targeting me and attempting to destroy my life for their own selfish gain, entirely against my consent and entirely to my detriment. Again, I don't claim to be the only one they ever might have tried doing this kind of thing to. In fact, I'm quite certain it's far from it. But while I won't speak for all the others, I won't stay silent about myself.
Maybe like sometimes you overthink so hard. I'm like,
Uh,
wow, I actually don't overthink to that extent.
yeah. It's because I'm always like checking in with myself,
Yeah,
making
yeah,
sure
yeah.
what I do aligns with what I believe, blah blah blah. I'm always thinking out all my actions,
Yeah,
and Jamie's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, it's not that deep. You know?
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Just because you're constantly evaluating your own actions, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a good person. Even a massive psychopath, serial killer, rapist, pedophile trying to evaluate how to portray themselves to others to hide their deception is going to have to spend a substantial amount of time trying to figure out how to cover up all the fuck shit they're trying to hide about themselves. If anything, you being so obsessed with making sure your actions align with what you claim your beliefs are, while you're heavily codependent on someone who clearly themselves severely lacks in mental stability for guidance or reassurance that you shouldn't try so hard, it only makes you look like even more of a psychopath. Kimmy probably is so delusional she thinks she's proving she's such a good person by saying shit like this, but it just shows how lacking in self-awareness she really is.
What's the most serious crime? Embezzlement. I don't even know what that is. I just chose a word.
Wait, what
We're
does
good
embezzle
people.
mean?
You're
Embezzle? Child, what does embezzle
Something
mean?
with money.
Embezzlement. Wait, the biggest crime I've committed?
The fraudulent taking
Being
of
sexy.
person.
Ugh. Oh, steal money from the company you work for.
Oh, we work for ourselves, so like I'm always embezzling myself.
You're so
I'm
right.
always like, where'd my money go?
You're so right. Wait.
Which one of my employees took it from me?
Why is Kimmy's immediate reaction to what crimes she's committing just result in her blurting out embezzlement? They try to play it off like a joke, but that's a weird and shitty joke, and to me it just came off like some kind of admittance of guilt that she's desperate to hide. Beyond that, I've even seen things spiritually that suggest Kimmy was at the very least attempting to do some kind of embezzlement type thing when it came to what she hopes to gain from exploiting me to literal death. If Kimmy's saying there's even a real possibility the money she makes from candles isn't necessarily hers, when the business she's running should be, or even implying that maybe she doesn't deserve all the profits she's taking and instead they should be shared with one or more other people who substantially helped her with it in one way or another, then clearly she doesn't live such an honest and fair life as she's trying to portray herself as living. Actually, prosecutable embezzlement might be an exaggerated way of looking at it, but it seems she's trying to use a sense of humor to mask the reality of what she knows she's doing and make it seem not as serious as it really is. Jamie saying being sexy as a crime she did, to me it serves as evidence that she egregiously exploits how attractive I've actually found Kimmy all along to try to spin it with some bullshit to make it seem like it makes sense to even attempt to convince people to believe I've been secretly somehow expressing those feelings as some kind of weird thing to get at Jamie, or as some kind of indebtedness to Jamie or something like that, and then using that to enable extremely immoral and ultimately criminal behavior towards me and probably also others. Obviously, knowingly entirely against my consent and to my detriment. Again, there is absolutely no truth to any claims that I've ever expressed romantic and or sexual feelings towards Kimmy as some kind of attempt to be romantically and or sexually involved with Jamie or anyone else. I've expressed feelings towards Kimmy completely sincerely. That is all. Actually honest and fair, unlike these massive frauds.
Have you ever seen me charm my way out of trouble?
Oh, literally your personality.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Literally your personality. Are you kidding me? When have you not? It's like 100% your fault and you're like, I didn't mean it.
Fuck! No, yeah, one time, like, I was at, like, I think it was about a boy or something, and I went to Kimmy, and she was like, I don't know what to tell you, like, you're in the wrong here. And so I was, like, baby raging, and I went to Ari, and I was like, what do you think about this? And Ari was like, I don't know what to tell you. I was like, fuck!
Oh god, low key, I'm like siding with the boys. This isn't like me, but
No.
Oh, look at that. Jamie particularly felt compelled to bring up one specific example she vaguely mentioned about being a massive piece of shit in a romantic kind of context. Seems to me she was mentioning trying to act like it's even remotely appropriate for her to try to force a romantic connection between me and her after clearly not caring in any meaningful capacity about it for years, as she exploited my feelings for Kimmy through it in attempts to abuse me and deplete my resources with malicious behavior behind the scenes in hopes she could ultimately force me into becoming her husband or somehow basically enslaved to her, while she knew all along I actually wanted Kimmy from the beginning. Why is she casually laughing about this with Kimmy on her stream instead of being actually punished at all for it? Look at how egregiously Kimmy enables and facilitates this extremely unhinged behavior. Never even once in my entire life have I even had to go to someone to question if I'm in the wrong in a situation, much less get told I was the whole ass problem by someone whose opinion on it would have mattered deeply to me. Kimmy and Jamie are laughing about it like it's some trivial thing maybe long in the past, but it's an extremely serious, massive issue happening right now. It's seriously absolutely disgusting how manipulative so many aspects of that stream were.
Am I more... Am I more of an unstoppable force or an immovable object?
oh, it would. Actually, you're both. You're like
I am both.
you're both. You're like an immovable object that's an unstoppable
You're an
force.
unstoppable force. Like, I feel like you're
Yeah,
you
like-
can move through.
I think I'm definitely not as. I feel like we're both pretty stubborn. I feel like that's why we understand each other's stubbornness and
That's true.
immovableness.
That's true.
I feel like we're kind of both
True.
both. Explain. Well, I feel like Jamie's really in tune with her emotions and she will never like forsake them. So in that sense, I think she's like an unmovable object in her like feelings.
I mean, the more someone tries to move me, the more I don't want to move.
Yeah.
But if they just like let me be, then I'll mold to whatever they need.
Mhm.
But like if they try to move me, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, and I think that's really like admirable because a lot of people don't like stand their ground for the sake of themselves, and that's like really good to do. I think I'm an unmovable force because if something doesn't like align with what I believe, then I get really stubborn.
But that's good. Like, you're grounded.
Yeah, I guess that means I'm grounded.
Yeah.
I don't see Kimmy nor Jamie as unstoppable forces nor immovable objects. They've clearly tried extremely hard to be both in my life, but never in an actually healthy manner. Jamie's attitude is especially unhinged and psychotic in how blatant and unapologetic she is about it, and Kimmy's attitude is especially unhinged and psychotic in how unapologetically supportive she is about that. Jamie's position doesn't even make sense if you consider this conflict. The more I try to move her out of the way of me getting to be with Kimmy, the more she doesn't want to move. But if I let her block me from it, she'll mold to whatever I need? What kind of bullshit is that? What I want is for her to stop blocking me from the connection I want with Kimmy. There's no world where she can mold into anything that I'd ever need if she won't get out of my way. And if she does get out of the way, well, as she should. I don't need anything from her anyways. It's increasingly blatantly obvious she's just extremely desperate to force me to have to need her so she can endlessly siphon my energy and exploit me for selfish gain entirely against my consent. This is actually such complete bullshit reasoning and attempted justification for her attitude, and it deeply concerns and disturbs me that Kimmy is so brain broken that she actually thought it was even remotely appropriate to adopt this kind of attitude and do this kind of stream instead of multiple other options on how to handle this a lot more maturely and appropriately and actually sanely.
What's the disclaimer you give people before they meet me? Wait, I've literally done this. I'd go like, oh, she's really focused on her candle business right now.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Like,
one.
that's my actual disclaimer. Because
yeah.
like people will be like, oh, Kimmy should go out to this or like do something that's like, I'm like, you like clubbing, right? And I'm just like, oh, she's locked in right now.
Yeah,
I give them a little
I
locked in,
appreciate that.
locked in thing.
I
And
don't-
you
I
always have
just-
cool friends.
I don't want people to feel like it's personal.
No. Yeah. That's why it's like a disclaimer.
I think my disclaimer for you is like,
You're like, there's so many.
it
Tread
depends on-
carefully.
It depends on the person and what their intention is coming to me about you.
Okay, say
So-
it's like a boy.
I'm like, let me see your resume. Let me see what you have to offer her. Because if not, she's not. No, I'm not even gonna let you try. No, but if it's a boy, boys don't come to me about you though. Like literally none. I've never had a boy come to me about you. Like seriously.
Yeah, maybe because they can just come to me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, nope.
Like I'm not the one people come.
You know who they go to for? They go to Jess.
I was gonna say I feel like Jess would be more down that like yeah.
Yeah, they go to Jess and Jess has to be like, no. She's like dodge for me.
I feel like if
I
people
think
come to me about you-
I think friends go to you about me. I think.
Yeah, no one comes to me about you because like all our friends are the same, so they just go to you. But like I feel like our friends would go to you asking if I'd be down to hang out because
That's true.
I'm not really all the time. But I'm trying to give like a more interesting answer.
So Jamie explicitly confirms that interacting publicly with Jessica would have made me unintentionally come off like I'm trying to pursue Jamie and as if I was extremely disingenuous and a massive fraud in everything I've been saying here. Jessica's energy has been regularly egregiously violating mine with weird messaging and empty, vague promises I never expected or saw any even remotely sensible reason to believe in, and was constantly trying to pressure me to pay attention to her and try to appease her. So it seems exactly how Jessica has been helping this energy siphoning operation by Kimmy and Jamie is by trying to leave me trapped in extreme life-threatening deprivation they caused, where I'd be so afraid for my life with hitmen regularly coming after me and feel so stuck and hopeless with constant failures to get meaningful and actually supportive and beneficial direct communication and ultimately public recognition, even when I should, that I'd try reaching out to Jessica publicly in desperation and as a result validate egregious false narratives that I'm some massive piece of shit that was disingenuously trying to pursue Jamie or hurt Jamie all this time or something like that, and Jessica was planning to act like I'm dealing with her as some kind of trying to make up for all the malice I was having projected onto me by Kimmy and Jamie. That's how the Kimmy, Jamie, and Jessica trio were trying to solidify robbing me of my soul permanently. I feel like it should really say something that Kimmy started a candle business and is publicly, visibly talking increasingly about being locked in on it, and it all started happening not very long after I started this podcast. It seems my firm position on refusing to compromise my integrity has put some kind of block on Kimmy's ability to just fuck around extremely carelessly and be really reckless in how she probably hurts people with her streaming career through extremely predatory dynamics she engages in with her friends like Jamie, and she feels entitled to abusing me extremely severely and ruining my life and robbing me of my soul so she can continue being extremely unhinged and a massive narcissist piece of shit. No. This changes. Now. Or I'm seriously escalating beyond just releases on this podcast, and I guarantee it's not going to be something Kimmy, Jamie, or anyone else involved in this can end up successfully benefiting off exploiting me with. No more fucking excuses and delays and bullshit. Or else. Or else.
What do I demand the most? When do I demand the most attention?
I'd say, like, from me or from anyone.
I guess both.
The thing is, you really like attention, so that's why you have outlets for it.
Wow.
Like, I remember there's like a time in your life where you literally were like, I like doing this because I love the attention.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's healthy awareness, but it's like, okay, you're like not involving somebody, but it's like, you know, you're taking a picture of yourself because you look cute that day.
Oh, yeah.
And you want that like hit of attention dopamine, you know?
I do, yeah.
But you're not like, if anything, you're gifting that to the world. You're not like bothering your friend because you just want attention.
Yeah.
So I think you have pretty healthy like coping mechanisms for the attention you like. Yeah.
So 24/7 basically.
Yeah.
I'm always down for attention. Like,
I've been looking for attention.
I feel like you do not demand attention.
I'm in a phase in my life where like I don't, people want to give me attention and I'm like,
And you don't want it? Yeah.
but,
Wow, I should try that for a month.
and then people want to give you attention.
Yeah, I wonder if that would happen.
I don't know. It depends. I think you should just, whatever you're doing is coming off genuinely, so I think that is what attracts people most, whatever that is.
Yeah, she engages in extremely toxic, harmful cycles of strange, unhinged behavior with Kimmy and craves attention 24/7, but it's healthy, according to Kimmy, because Jamie's posting thirst traps on the internet and also going out of her way, lying egregiously about people and even committing crimes to try to ruin people's lives, even who have never even thirsted after her, instead of bothering her friends with that pesky self-reflection and any actual attempts to grow into a meaningfully more mature and genuinely better person, and maybe even positively influence her friends to do similar. It's so obvious they're desperately trying to justify how screwed up they both are and barely managing to make it sound somewhat sane. But the more important part here is that Kimmy is talking about being in a phase of her life where she's screaming, trying to avoid getting attention. So she's being confronted by people behind the scenes, pressuring her to presumably call me out and expose me as a fraud or something, but she's refusing? I mean, for her to have an attitude scared of attention when normally she'd welcome it, I'm pretty sure that has something directly to do with me and this podcast. I don't consent to this psychopath trying to sabotage and suppress me and deny me attention because it's uncomfortable or inconvenient for her. She's refusing to at all adequately address this conflict and all the extremely fucked up shit I've had to endure, largely because of her fucked up attitude and behavior towards me the last over 8 years. And she's also completely refusing to at all directly communicate with me privately, and obviously completely refusing to communicate directly publicly. I'm absolutely not at all okay with her trying to dictate that everyone continues to egregiously disrespect and neglect me simply because it's convenient for her. And yet, that's clearly what she's currently doing. If she's going to continue behaving like this, I don't give a flying fuck whether or not she wants attention. I want to not be in egregiously unjust, life-threatening deprivation, experiencing fucking endless disrespect and neglect from everyone I've ever had in my life with absolutely zero actual benefit for suffering at all. If she actually gave even the slightest shit to have any at all actually good reason not to promptly get massively exposed and have her career irrecoverably destroyed with broad public attention brought to this podcast, she would directly communicate with me properly. But she's clearly not doing that. And again, to be clear, that is not at all a compromise of my integrity. It does not at all mean my position is changing or will ever change. I've made my position extremely clear in my last release, and this is a reinforcement of its integrity and potency that counteracts Kimmy and Jamie's egregious attempt to discredit it and deny me of any actually meaningful, actually beneficial results for all the unbelievable suffering I've endured. If Kimmy seriously won't communicate with me properly and won't date me and won't be a really good girlfriend to me without any more fucking excuses or delays, then I'm seriously going to have to proceed with actual escalation, like filing for litigation against her and Jamie and taking it to an actual courthouse. And at that point, I'm seriously never going to date anyone or even consider messing around at all with even entertaining the possibility of ever dating anyone ever again. And believe me, I'll make damn sure the world knows I never wanted to end up like that. Perhaps it will ultimately be going down the extremely dark path of fulfilling the prophecy I said in the manifesto I released publicly in 2019, including even all the darkest and most disturbing stuff. And I'll seriously do it absolutely unapologetically. I'll just also first be suing, at the very least, Kimmy and Jamie, and likely also, ultimately others, on top of everything else.
What would you never hire me to do?
Build my furniture. Like, well, I would never hire her to do.
I would never
anything.
hire you to be my hitman.
You would find me like in a room. The hitman's like. I
would find you with the person you're supposed to kill.
Yeah, therapy session.
I'd be like, Kimmy, what the hell?
Like you're supposed
This is
to
to
be my
finish
hit.
a job.
And I'm like, okay, but I'm trying to understand what led them to this behavior, though. Like, I think we could fix it. Like, I think they just need therapy. Maybe they just need someone to talk to.
Pangar, 6 or 7 months.
I'd hire you to be a hitman, though.
Hell yeah.
You would like ask them therapy questions, but then you'd finish the job.
Yeah, I'd finish the job.
Damn. That's hot.
Well, the furniture building thing definitely is something Kimmy is saying from experience, especially considering Jamie's literally tried building furniture on stream before and she was absolutely horrible at it, whether she was faking it or not. I'd say Jamie's comments are from experience too, except a really unhinged, psychotic, skewed, delusional schizo perspective. From the beginning, I've known to prepare for and be ready to have to expect the absolute worst from Kimmy and Jamie, so I was extremely cautious to never leave myself in a fully vulnerable state where I could get betrayed and have no real manner to retaliate and get retribution. If we consider spiritual assassination, Kimmy basically confirmed that she uses Jamie to try to interrogate targets for every bit of information to rob them of their soul, and Jamie's supposed to finish that process. Even more damning evidence that Kimmy has been so desperate to try to avoid accountability for how screwed up her behavior has been towards me, that all the harm she's caused in my life has tried to spiritually force me to deal with Jessica in a manner where Jamie would have solidified destroying my life and robbing me of my soul as a result. Again, this does not change my position. I'm not the one that has to change because some unhinged, massive frauds feel entitled to robbing me of my soul. They are the ones that need to change. Them, not me. And not in an even more unhinged, screwed up manner, however they feel like, with zero real respect and decency for what I want and deserve. If that's how they're seriously going to try to warp this release, to try to make it seem like I'm validating them doing, then that's definitely something that should be recognized as an even more inflammatory, aggressive escalation of this conflict. Absolutely, unconditionally.
Yeah, do you think I'm capable of doing something you can never forgive me for?
Oh shit. I mean, yes, but like unrealistic things that you would never do. You know what I mean?
But that means
like,
you think I'm capable. Oh, but like I wouldn't do it.
Oh, that you're capable. Wait, what was the question?
Do you think I'm capable of doing something you could never forgive me for?
Oh, so you have to. I have to think that
like,
you would
actually
do it.
Because like I wouldn't actually kill someone.
I actually, like, at this point, I don't think you would. There's like.
Anything?
Let me think. I can never forgive you for. Oh man. I really don't think so. Like, I think that there have been like a lot of situations that Jamie's been in where she could have done something that would hurt me, but she like chooses not to. Like, because she knows it would, so she just chooses not to. So I really don't think so.
Wow.
Like-
no, yeah.
Like, even if you did, I feel like you'd give me like a cut of the profits. You know what I mean?
Tax evasion?
I mean, like, if you did something unforgivable, it'd be for
Like,
a
I
reason
would-
of your benefit, but then you'd give
Like
me
I would never go against you. It'd probably be if I did something that you couldn't forgive me for. It would probably be like
for you.
yeah, or something else.
But then
like,
you'd give me a cut of the bounty anyway, I bet. You know what I mean? So, like, but I'd also want her to do it for her, too.
Oh, damn. What scenario are you thinking of?
What? We're gonna have to talk about this after the stream.
I don't think you're capable of doing anything.
No, but
that's because like my forgiveness level is pretty high. Like once I like unconditionally like love someone, I'm just like,
yeah, nothing really bothers you. You don't really take things too seriously.
yeah, I'm kind of just like we're gonna die anyway. So
Yeah. Jamie's a really good person and a really good friend, and I feel like she downplays this a lot about herself for some reason that I have no idea why.
I think it's because like I almost don't pride myself in being a good person, and I think that makes me a better person. Like it makes
I
me
agree.
do things like out of like not like I don't do good things for myself. Like it's kind of like my mechanism so I don't people please or I don't like.
So you don't get taken advantage of too.
Yeah. Like if I do something good, like it's just because I did that. Like for me, it's like I don't think like oh like I did so many good things this month. I'm a
Yeah,
good person.
that's like kind of cringe.
Yeah. But also, I think it's like the more people like tell other people like they're a really good person, like the more people expect from them too.
Oh my god, true.
Yeah. And I don't want to like I don't want to
give that to people. Okay, true.
No, I'll
Interesting.
pet Evie.
Okay, so Jamie saying she wouldn't actually kill someone basically confirms they were referring to spiritual assassination with divination abuse, just like I said. A cut of the bounty at the end? Kimmy's seriously confirming she conspires against people with Jamie through spiritual warfare for their mutual selfish gain, and it seems Jamie tries to really get validation from Kimmy for doing good things for her without necessarily expecting anything in return. That probably plays into that dynamic with the spiritual assassinating. Jamie's reason or interpretation of saying you're a really good person is so psychotic. Actually makes her look like a massive psychopath, especially right after talking about being a spiritual hitman. Yes, if you tell people you're a really good person, a lot of jackasses will try to expect more and more from you. But that's why you don't do it unless you're doing it with real integrity and maturity. That doesn't necessarily mean you always do it with no expectation of anything in return, but it also doesn't mean you always expect something in return either. Even being a really good person doesn't mean you have to constantly prove yourself that you are, or let people expect more from you in ways that ultimately seriously harm you with no real way of retaliating. It also doesn't necessarily mean you never do bad things whatsoever, even in the slightest, and it certainly doesn't mean you aren't even really capable of extremely disturbing things. Actually, being a good person means you're very much capable of even horrible things, but you actively endure in choosing to not do those things, not just because you're afraid of getting arrested or judged by people, but because it's genuinely who you are. And not just to your friends, family, romantic partners, or co-workers. If you actually understand what actually being a really good person means, and especially if you're actually a really good person, you will never find it as something you should hesitate to assert that you are what you are in that aspect. Doesn't matter whether it's publicly or privately either. Maybe you might question if it's worth your time and energy to try to convince someone of it in any given situation, but there's nothing inherently wrong with that. If you're afraid to even say you're a good person because you're afraid of having to prove it somehow, well, you're probably a pretty shitty person. Sounds like Jamie thought she could force me to shoulder the burden of actually having to prove I'm a good person while I'm also saying it, while she'd say it emptily and steal all the benefits of actually being a good person from me. Another instance of Kimmy and Jamie thinking they're sounding smart and good, but really just showing extreme lack of self-awareness. Kimmy doesn't push back on it either, so she shares the same shitty psychotic view, clearly. Again, I'm not saying this as some kind of disingenuous thing trying to push Kimmy away or saying she is incapable of being a better person, and I'm certainly not saying it as some weird thing saying it's attractive to me. I'm frustrated because it's really not attractive to me, but I still see a lot of things about Kimmy that I really like, and I still really care about her, and I know I don't want to be with anyone else regardless. Even if she wants to insist on being such subhuman filth to me that I actually completely stop caring about her permanently, I'll still forever wish she wouldn't ever be anything like that, and I'll actually just be so extremely deeply traumatized that I'll seriously never move on. So either Kimmy changes her perspective on life and her attitude and behavior towards me, and fast, or things are only going to get much worse for her. I'm not going to try telling her this in private to see if she'll consider being more gentle and actually behaving decently towards me when she has an insane track record of just being extremely abusive and trying to steal credit for everything I do and control me and destroy my life up to this point. Clearly, she's been exploiting knowing anything about what I'll do next in order to continue to control me and suppress and sabotage me and perpetuate her abuse. If I knew that was all being genuinely kind to her, was ever going to end up in, I never would have even spoken to her in my life, and I would have lived a very different life.
Is there something that's difficult to talk about among any of us here? Any of us three here? Should we clear the air right now?
I'm pretty uncomfortable discussing the topic of whether I'm submissive or dominant on my chat.
Okay, fair. You know,
No, I'm kidding.
Okay, we don't have to take that question like, I don't know, just like, you know.
I mean, I don't think so.
I couldn't care less to talk about whether Jamie is sexually dominant or submissive, whether in her Twitch chat or elsewhere. And I don't see why I should have to argue, debate, or even simply discuss it in a non-sexual context either in her Twitch chat. It's absolutely disgusting how these massive frauds basically are trying to give me the hardest possible time and delay and exhaust me and intentionally inflict emotional distress on me as much as possible, while so exceedingly disingenuously attempting to make me seem like I'm a fraud or somehow guilty of something or indecisive or something like that because I refuse to talk in Jamie's Twitch chat and confront them publicly like that or something. They're clearly trying to make multiple things they've been exploiting me entirely non-consensually behind the scenes all this time with as some kind of huge hang-up point for me where they aren't, to try to discredit me and making me seem like my unwillingness to confront them publicly in their biased, censored environments somehow also makes me a fraud. It's exceedingly difficult to have any kind of actually meaningful discussion about anything in both Kimmy and Jamie's Twitch chats, especially if it involves serious criticism of their attitude and behavior, as I've been doing on this podcast, and as I'd naturally be inclined to do if I were to ever address them publicly anywhere with how things are. Even putting aside how likely it is that I'd get banned quickly for having the self-respect not to pathetically suck up to them after all the extremely fucked shit they've put me through, they're likely inherently trying to pressure me and leave me feeling trapped into needing to confront them publicly in either or both of their Twitch chats as some kind of mechanism to falsify evidence that I'm a fraud and likely also somehow force on me that we're friends or on much better terms than I've been saying we are, according to everything I've said on this podcast. It's not happening.
Will we be friends in 10 years? Like, definitely.
Yeah,
Even if one of us died,
Yeah,
like,
it's
I'd send you text from the universe.
I'd still text your phone, man.
Oh, that's fucking sad.
Your ghost can read them.
My ghost is like, oh, why are so many texts?
I've never had an issue with it inherently if Kimmy is good friends with anyone to the point she's confident they'll still be friends in 10 years, or if she feels she's so close to them she'd still want to text them even if they were dead. But I also most certainly don't owe it to Kimmy or anyone else to have mercy on Jamie or anyone else if Kimmy won't treat me properly, and it doesn't matter at all to me no matter how good of a friend Kimmy considers Jamie to be. The way Kimmy's behaving, any even possibility for her to avoid an increasingly severe lawsuit and likely ultimately even prison time, if not worse, is rapidly disappearing permanently. And there's no amount of strength of her friendship with anyone that's going to be able to save her from that if she continues how she has been.
Ooh, we're starting a business. What venture would we be most successful as a pair?
Ooh, as a pair?
Like something like.
I think it would be product.
Oh yeah,
Like,
business for sure. It would be
Yeah,
product
right?
for sure.
okay.
I was thinking like, I bet if we made like those like, you know, the little stuffed animals that get warm for your period.
Oh my
Like,
god.
we would like make a line like that.
Yes. Oh my god, that'd be so fucking cute. Like something that is just like really home good, like
Yeah, cozy.
like cozy and home goodsy, but like for like really cute.
Yeah.
It would definitely be some kind of product that's cute
Products for sure.
and like cozy, like a
Love
cozy homeware, cozy home stuff. Definitely see.
Right. Stuffed animals that comfort women during period cramps. That's what you do together, you say, while clearly trying to start a podcast together. This is at least the second time they've tried to do this kind of thing since I've started this podcast, where such behavior was essentially non existent beforehand, and anything even remotely close to it I saw happen like once or twice, not very long before they met me in real life. So it seems they're trying to use supposedly having a dynamic where they'd create some home goods product together as a cover to try to hide and justify their egregious abuse that in reality they likely long ago saw would naturally result in them ending up in a podcast together if I'm having my energy siphoned and rewards for my efforts stolen from me by them and I can't break out of it. Especially Jamie, it seems, who has been trying to desperately scare me to death that I'll die to a hitman or something if I don't suck up to her and accept some bullshit energy siphoning connection with her while my behavior effectively inspires her and Kimmy on podcast discussion topics and likely also other areas of their lives. Oh, right, but I forgot. I'm the fake one. I just, do exactly everything I've said with utmost integrity and dignity and effective, intelligent, strategic calculation and measured responses at every point, while my enemies just do more unhinged, psychotic shit and increasingly blatantly flaunt being mentally ill. But I'm the problem. I'm always the problem. Because they said so. They think they literally rule the world, apparently. Even Trump is just their puppet, but they can't even decently articulate what being a good person really means or actually provide good takes on anything without first probing me to give them insight on it. But of course, now comes probably the lies that they had some galaxy brain 5 million IQ reason for supposedly just pretending to be complete jackasses to me all these years. Of course.
What have you learned from me?
Oh my god, to like just be myself.
Aww.
Like literally, I feel like I was always so repressed, but then like just being around Jamie for so long made me feel confident and comfortable to just like be myself and like not to repress that, not to feel shame about that, and that's like fine to just like be quirky and like annoying sometimes and flawed, and Jamie just accepts all parts of that.
Aww. Yeah. I think I've learned from Kimmy like what it looks like to have someone that genuinely wants the best for me.
No.
Or like that will what genuine support looks like. I have a good example of it.
I support
with Kimmy.
Jamie's rights and wrongs. I'm here for the journey.
Whoa, there's whoa.
No, but like I think instead of like being so judgmental on someone's like every action, it's more important to just like be there as they like go through everything, and maybe like if anything be kind of like a north pole for them or like a north star in case they want to like be directed. Like you don't have to guide them, but just like kind of like show them that there's a north star out there if they want to be guided. You know what I mean?
You have shown me the North Star a lot.
Aww. That's so sweet.
Oh, so that's how two absolute psychopaths attempting to hide lying shitless and attempting exploiting someone to literal death with defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and advanced spiritual warfare as they aggressively try to publicly drive them crazy looks like. One of them flaunts how their unhinged psychopathy was repressed before meeting the other, and the other flaunts how she finally got genuine support for her psychopathy from the other. Well then.
Damn, you're crazy. What's your biggest toxic trait? I am so angel.
I don't know what that word means. I am so angel. I don't do anything toxic.
You don't.
I think my biggest toxic trait is like I shut down.
If I'm toxic though.
Like
You don't
Really?
have any toxic traits.
maybe not to you, but to other people. Like, but then they're toxic.
No, you won't do it unless they're toxic first. You
Yeah,
just
that's
don't
true.
really have that many toxic traits.
Yeah.
And neither do I. Let's move on.
Right. No, but yeah, I'm not like proactively I'm never the one to make the toxic first move.
Yeah.
But if
just, like,
somebody,
respond.
if somebody be toxic to me, bitch, I'm pulling out my mirror.
Yeah.
So Kimmy recognizes she's being toxic and trying to endlessly avoid actually communicating properly with me, but Jamie constantly strokes her ego, so she keeps getting away with hallucinating that I'm the problem. It's toxic that Kimmy avoids communicating when a relationship gets any real difficulty to it after a while, and it's toxic that Jamie knows she wants Kimmy to believe she's a good person so Jamie can push the boundaries of being a not good person. How much more blatant can this get at this point? Is Kimmy going to seriously try to argue that I was being malicious when we met and I made a toxic first move? And she wants to act like her actually being toxic, and how immature and unhinged she acts towards me is pulling out the mirror? Are you serious? You want to see me respectfully simply stating a fact to invite you to have some kind of more meaningful conversation after you went out of your way to wait to see where I sat so you could sit right in front of me immediately as me being toxic? Actually being serious about wanting a meaningful, romantic, and hopefully, eventually, sexual connection with you is toxic? Then why did you entertain it so much and seem so starstruck by my feelings and constantly reciprocate things over and over and even have a mental breakdown saying you pushed away someone you really liked the first time I gave you space because I thought you wanted it with how cold you were being to me? Do you think you can keep constantly trying to paint me as the problem, especially after doing something like that, and now I owe it to you to stay silent and let you ruin my life? That's not happening. Bitch, I'm pulling out the mirror. Sit down. What's next? You want to call this release or my attitude toxic now again and play victim even more? What disgusting, egregious attempts to completely invalidate my emotions and blatantly deny reality are you going to try next? Look at what you did to provoke it. You were hiding things from me from the beginning. You act more unhinged the more stable I prove myself to be. I have to struggle with so many extremely heavy emotions constantly and try really hard just to formulate my words carefully so I'm not breaking laws with the kind of direction you were trying to leave me so distressed you probably hoped I'd be going down in some spiral of self-destruction endlessly until it destroyed me before I could even really come close to exposing the truth. You've clearly been stealing credit for my work and claiming it as your own and trying to act like I've been stealing from you. It's so exhausting and painful and overall unpleasant to deal with this, and I seriously will never appreciate any attempts to portray me as feeling otherwise about that.
Describe the first time we met. What was your honest first impression of me? Okay, well,
Like Disneyland?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude, okay, so we were like internet friends for so long, for months. And then she visits us, Jamie visits us. She lives in New York, she visits us in California. And it was me and Leslie, and Jamie came to our table and she was so shy that like right when she made eye contact with us, she ran away. She literally screamed and ran. And me and Leslie were like, what is going on? And we had to chase her down. We're like, Jamie, come back.
like, you have to understand, like, I was super socially anxious back then. I was so socially anxious, and then, like, I just saw these girls that I saw online for the first time in person. I was like, holy shit, they're real.
Okay, it must have been really scary for you because at least I was like with the group, but you came alone by yourself. You literally came from New York to LA by yourself and walked up to our whole group of people.
And I was like, Keith!
She literally screamed and ran. And me and Leslie never forgot that moment.
Oh my god. Oh, wow. I've changed so much.
I know, now look at her.
Wow, it's just like, that makes me, it's so crazy because like I've never always been this confident. So now when people are like, damn, Jamie, like you're so confident, like I almost flaunt it because like it took me so much to get here.
That's why I just support everything too. I'm just like, man, we built this brick by brick.
I definitely, I wasn't born with like confidence. That's so funny.
So you mean to tell me that Jamie literally screaming and running away on sight is something that Kimmy basically seems to see as less mean than me respectfully giving her a factual statement about core values and what they typically indicate about a person who believes, or at the very least portrays, themselves to have it? If she's saying it was the meanest thing I could say to her because it's the truth, that just means she was extremely deeply insecure about being extremely selfish and an awful narcissistic psychopath even when I met her over 8 years ago. And that's why she was so unbelievably hurt about a statement I made with absolutely no malice in my heart towards her. Regardless, I have absolutely no sympathy or pity or mercy or anything for her. If she's seriously going to be so fucking unhinged and cruel and unreasonable and fucked up about it. Having good intentions from the beginning doesn't mean I won't make things end extremely horribly for her. If she's seriously so fucked up, she proves she deserves it. And with how I presented myself to her from the very beginning, she never should have expected otherwise. It's not like I was trying to say people can't change or grow. My point was literally that I actually care to try to help someone I care about deeply to grow the most, and I'm not a shallow fuckboy loser coward that would just stick to super easy, casual, lighthearted conversation. And the one time I met someone so extremely physically attractive to me that literally I knew was by far the hottest person I'd ever met in my entire life, and still is to this day, and who I knew there's a very real possibility I might never meet again, especially not under circumstances I actually consider favorable or desirable to me. I knew what I wanted. I knew why I attended that meetup. I was being decisive. I was being confident. And I knew anyone with a serious issue with it was revealing more about themselves than about me. To this day, I've still yet to be proven wrong about that, by the way.
What percentage of the time do you think I'm completely full of shit?
Bro, I look at you and I'm like, how did she get this far in life? Like, she's gonna go so much farther and I don't get it.
No, that's actually everyone. That's literally everyone. Everyone's like,
Yep. Just another day where they're casually laughing their asses off about how full of shit they both are. Ha ha, so funny. Slay, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. No explanation required, no decency required, just be more psychotic and feel entitled to getting away with it. Gone so far and gonna go so much farther. I keep proving I'm completely real. These assholes only increasingly flaunt their intentional infliction of emotional distress and unhinged, fucked up psychotic attitudes and behaviors towards me, yet I'm ignored, disrespected, neglected, ostracized, and treated like a complete fraud, left to suffer homelessness, eating out of their garbage, and hitmen regularly coming after me, while they mock me, genuinely being a good person, so exceedingly far beyond even their capacity to even recognize what that even really means, it seems.
What's something that's definitely not my problem, but somehow always becomes my problem? I feel like people with trauma dump on you.
Oh yeah, people do. It's cause like the thing is, I love being there for people, and I make them feel so safe because like I get where they're coming from. Like I want to hear them out, but then I think there are some people who like take that as like, and like they think that I'm more capable of handling their emotions at all times than I really am. So like, just because I'm able to like handle people's emotions and traumas once, they think I can do that at every point of every day sometimes. But it's like, no, I had to like recharge for a week for that conversation. But like, I'm always available for like people's like emotions, but like I just need some heads up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just need some heads up.
You mean the precaution.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks I can handle their trauma, but actually I can. But no one thinks they can, so I get away with not.
Alright, first of all, let's get something straight. Kimmy never made me feel particularly safe at all. In fact, from the very beginning, I found her behavior especially suspicious and disturbingly concerning. From my perspective, every interaction just kept confirming to me that either she's involved in some really fucked shit happening behind my back that she's intentionally completely refusing to share with me, or that she's seriously extremely mentally ill and probably a massive narcissist and possibly full-on psychopath that's extremely dangerous and untrustworthy in general, or both. I opened up to her from the beginning because making me feel particularly safe was never a requirement or something I especially was looking for in choosing a partner. Living the kind of extremely brutal life I'd lived even before meeting Kimmy, I knew I'd never feel all that safe or ever really even want to be completely vulnerable, even with the best partner ever. So it wasn't something I particularly considered. I looked at Kimmy's body, I looked at what I saw of her personality, I looked at her career choice, and I just felt like I might as well consider her the love of my life, otherwise I seriously don't believe such a person exists or will ever enter my life. Any sense of making me feel safe was entirely irrelevant to me from the very beginning. Only her general receptiveness and at least some vibe that she actually likes me a lot mattered to me. I told myself that if I seriously start feeling like a creep or like she really doesn't enjoy having me in her life for whatever reason, I'd cut her and all her associates out of my life completely without hesitation, monitor her behavior for at least a while after to see if she seriously regrets pushing me away and actually is willing to show it, and if not, probably cry and rage about it to myself in private forever and completely give up all faith in humanity permanently, as I resent humanity extremely deeply, absolutely unconditionally, and definitely never even consider opening myself up to anything even really resembling dating anyone ever again, literally no matter what. That was literally my thought process from the very beginning. I've never believed Kimmy to be more capable of handling my emotions and traumas than I am. Not at all times, not ever. I wouldn't say she's actually shown capability of actually handling them even once to this day, and if she actually believes otherwise, then she's seriously mistaken. Not surprising considering how fucking delusional she clearly is in general. If Kimmy thinks she deserves or will get any kind of heads up on what I'm doing next ever again, if she continues to refuse to properly directly communicate with me and ultimately embrace the kind of intimate life partnership I've been saying I've always wanted with her, then that only further demonstrates her extreme delusion and the extent of her mental illness. I don't owe her, her friends, or anyone from my past anything, and I'm certainly not going to warn you just to be kind to you after I see you sabotage everything all the time and clearly show zero real signs of any actual good intentions towards me whatsoever. My position, particularly pursuing and wanting romantic and sexual involvement with Kimmy, has absolutely nothing to do with my perception of Kimmy, Jamie, or anyone else being capable of handling my emotions or traumas. It's really fucked up if Jamie's trying to spin this like I'm not pursuing her or embracing whatever feelings she's tried to force me to deal with her supposedly having towards me because I'm supposedly over here thinking she just can't handle my emotions. First of all, I know she can't. And second of all, I don't think Kimmy can either. Jamie's been getting away with such fucked up shit because Kimmy's an extremely mentally ill, fucking massive narcissist psychopath to ever seriously doubt me and disrespect me how she chose to. And also because there are too many shady, scummy people in various positions of power who clearly benefit so massively from seeing me suffering that they're enabling and facilitating her extremely fucked up behavior. That ego she has is seriously massive.
What's a habit you wish you could quit?
Oh, so many.
Really?
Yeah, like one, like I self-sabotage a lot. Like, how would I wish I could quit? Probably, like, I doubt myself a lot, or not doubt, but like I'm critical to myself. Very freaking critical. Like, I can't change it.
high expectations for yourself.
I'm so critical. My expectations are so high. Like, I put myself on such unrealistic standards, and then I get really sad when I can't meet them. And I have, yeah.
It also pushes you to, be better though. But maybe not. You don't need to do it like as crazily though.
Yeah, and also like I really like helping people grow to the extent where like I'm probably putting too much effort that I need to. But I almost like don't say it. Like I won't tell people when I do it because like I don't want people to see how much effort I'm putting in.
Jamie really does like helping people behind the scenes.
Yeah, like
she loves it. Jamie just loves building things and people and things.
Yeah, I do. I see so much potential and I just want to like awaken it.
Yeah. You and Arya are really similar in that sense.
Yeah, and that's where me and Arya like bond a lot. Yeah, as long as it's not actual building.
It doesn't really matter to me whether or not Jamie considers her behavior self-sabotage if she actually wanted to have an intimate relationship with me or a business relationship or anything else. Even if she didn't self-sabotage, I still never would have dated her and never would have particularly wanted any kind of business relationship with her either. I seriously attended that meetup only because I knew Kimmy was supposed to be there, and the day I met her, I already knew I saw her as the only person I ever really believed could be the love of my life. I've seriously never said stuff like that to make Jamie insecure and overly critical of herself, but I'm also seriously not going to be inauthentic if it happens to have that effect on her. I don't self-sabotage. I haven't self-sabotaged even once in the entire time from the beginning of my connection with Kimmy. If you think otherwise, you just don't actually know me. Even if you think you do, you must be really delusional then. Clearly, nobody that ever thought they knew me actually knew me. Otherwise, I'd be dead right now. I really don't see Jamie, Arya, Kimmy, or any of their friends as helping me behind the scenes. Maybe they love helping each other, but especially with Jamie and Arya, and especially coming from Kimmy, all I've ever actually experienced from them is attempts to break me down, rob me of my soul, destroy my life, and help pieces of shit from my past try to control and sabotage me forever. But I guess what Kimmy was really doing was painting an even clearer picture that Jamie and Arya were trying to help build Kimmy up by breaking me down behind the scenes all these years, then extremely narcissistically try to help me after spiritually assaulting me to death and trying to leave me in extremely life-threatening deprivation in the physical world to be in a position they hoped I'd be desperate enough to be willing to accept a fraction of what I'd actually worked for, while they stole the rest and acted like they did me a favor. Just like I've been saying.
Who do you think has had more sexual partners, you or me? Well, I don't do that.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, yeah, we are angels. We don't do that.
What is that? Did you ever see the cats I clip where they're like joking and they're like, shall we do my first kiss?
Yeah, cats I always be joking.
It's so funny.
I love how they don't have to like stick to the same like
Being of other
standards as
K-pop.
K-pop stars.
Yeah.
We are so angel. We don't do that stuff, Chad. Oh my god. We practice abstinence.
No, we do.
What? Why did they almost make it sound like they consider themselves K-pop stars somehow and having to abide by similar standards? I don't know exactly what schizo delusion they're living in, but I've never considered Kimmy or Jamie K-pop stars, and I most certainly don't believe they're virgins or abstinent. I mean, I literally saw Kimmy leave the Toronto meetup with a random blonde guy she met off a dating app, taking the subway in the opposite direction. Multiple others who attended and were taking the subway in the direction I was going pointed it out, too. I still hardly knew Kimmy back then, and she came off to me like she was probably low-key drunk and high as well, so I figured I'd rather avoid her potentially claiming I raped her or something. I also figured she'd find my feelings more meaningful and understand their sincerity better if she saw I cared about her and seriously wanted to show it, despite perhaps having the opportunity to have sex with her that day, but choosing not to, and instead making it abundantly evident afterwards that it had absolutely nothing to do with her physical attractiveness being at all lacking.
What's the kinkiest request you've ever denied? You don't have to answer if it's like.
I don't think I've denied it. Not the DLC.
I dated a guy who really liked being tied up.
Damn, you didn't even tell me that.
You know.
Wait, really?
Yeah. But like, I was just really young and I just didn't know how to like handle that because I was just really young. So I just couldn't. I was just like, I don't think I'm the girl for you right now.
Wait, I actually didn't know that. Or maybe I forgot.
Here's we can talk after the stream.
Okay. After.
Nothing wrong with liking being tied up. I didn't know what to do with that.
You're like, is this tight enough? So do I do a knot or bow?
Oh gosh.
I really did not need to know Jamie has never denied any kinky sexual requests. I also don't care. None of my sexual desires are anything crazy, and I'm quite certain Kimmy wouldn't have any real issue with indulging all of them if she actually likes me. For the record, I've never had any kind of fetish for being tied up, neither physically nor metaphorically somehow. With what Kimmy said and how Jamie seemed surprised and said she didn't know about what Kimmy was talking about, I see good reason to suspect Kimmy was slandering me because I refused to talk in either her or Jamie's Twitch chats. By some weird schizo definition, you might consider that I'm the first person she dated, at least as far as her brand goes, so it's very possible she's basically straight up slandering me there. Especially since I've never even once said or even implied to anyone that I have any desire or even willingness to tolerate being tied up, neither as a sexual fetish nor in general, nor does Kimmy or anyone else have any adequate reason to believe I'd ever be okay with being portrayed otherwise. I remember Kimmy used to jokingly say things sometimes, basically suggesting she was 12 mentally or something like that in her earlier years of content creation. So maybe that was what she meant by really young. And some weird, perverted, gross misinterpretation of my behavior and hallucinations of what I might secretly want or something like that might make her feel like making up me having fetishes. I've never said anything even implying to anyone it makes any real sense to believe I have, might be why Kimmy said that. If you ask me, I see no even remotely adequate reason to believe this isn't actually extremely malicious behavior, straight up intentionally misrepresenting me and starting to expose the kinds of lies Kimmy's been defaming me all these years behind the scenes, purporting about me entirely against my consent in order to try to endlessly siphon my energy and destroy my life and keep me trapped under some abusive control of hers and Jamie's.
Is it dominant or submissive in bed to like being
Submissive.
being pleased? Is that
Oh, I think that's
is that
more
dominant, or you just like let them be dominant?
I think dominant
what
is,
angle is
not.
that?
I think dominance like you enjoy having control.
Oh,
Like you enjoy having control. So it doesn't necessarily like dominant
Oh.
doesn't have to necessarily be like aggressive,
Uh-huh.
but it means you generally like being the one to control everything. And submissive is like more
Interesting.
like you like let go. But
Okay,
yeah, you
that
can
makes
be
sense.
dominant and like be pleased for
Mhm.
sure. Like because you're like telling them what to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, dominant takes the lead.
Okay, chat, fess up. you read Jamie. Now it's time to out yourselves. All right, chat. Are you guys more dominant or submissive?
Ew, I don't want to know.
Ew.
You tell me.
Oh yeah, tell me. I'm curious. I think they're all gonna say submissive.
No way, my chat.
But it's Twitch chat though. Twitch chat.
No, you know what my chat is? My chat are filled with people who think they're dominant but they're submissive.
Oh, but that's just Twitch chat in general. Like Twitch chat loves like being like
Yeah, you guys like being told what to do.
Bullied.
You guys are some fucking masochists for sure.
caught.
Caught.
Twitch chat likes being bullied and put into place.
I don't see how Jamie's answer actually answers Kimmy's question. It doesn't. You can like being pleased, and it can come from a place of being controlling and also a place of letting go. Pretty sure Kimmy wasn't confused on what being dominant and what being submissive even is. Pretty sure she was asking because when I describe sexual intimacy I want with Kimmy, I just talk about the pleasurable acts kind of vaguely, and I don't romanticize or provide any kind of details on dynamics around who would be in control of the situation or letting go in the situation. Clearly, that matters a lot to Kimmy, and I'm really not surprised. It matters a lot to me too. I also am not ever giving an answer on the matter if Kimmy's going to continue to refuse to properly directly communicate with me. Clearly, she's trying to exploit the answer with Jamie to try to endlessly control, exploit, suppress, sabotage, and ultimately destroy my life. It's also so fucked that Kimmy's trying to get information about me and humiliatingly trying to force it out of me in public in exchange for information about Jamie that both isn't particularly interesting or relevant to me, and also I'm not nearly stupid enough to believe is even actually real information, especially in the context of Jamie explicitly saying at the beginning of the stream that it's all fake. Sure, I know there are aspects of it that are real, or at the very least reflective of the truth somehow, and the answer sort of given might be the truth, but still, why am I being given information I have to seriously question and that I never cared about anyways, and being pressed to publicly expose something about myself that should be private between me and Kimmy? And even then, that she only even deserves to know if she shows me a lot more respect and love than she ever has in her entire life. It's not happening. I'm seriously not enjoying this extremely weird vibe. Like Kimmy and Jamie are trying to fetishize me having to be so brutal to Kimmy to even possibly inspire any semblance of decency in her. And with how they're trying to fetishize bullying and dominating their chat while trying to force me to have to participate in it, to not have my soul devoured by their egregious disrespect and neglect, it's increasingly disturbing that my obvious lack of consent to that dynamic seems to remain utterly irrelevant. Even when I did participate in their Twitch chats many years ago, I never intended for that to be seen as any kind of consent, to be seen as enjoying of being bullied, nor of facing this kind of extremely abusive domination dynamic.
It's not a lie. You just like have a thought fart sometimes.
You know, I think it's because in high school I was like a compulsive liar, so I got it out of my system.
Huh.
Like, you know, when you're like growing up and you realize you can lie for your first time, and then you start lying even when you don't have to, and then your life turns into a mess because you just lied to so many times that you can't keep track of your lies, and then you just get really like confused, and like everyone gets really confused and everyone gets mad at each other, and then you just like start to like wake up one day and you're just
sounded
like
a rap verse. Oh wait, my microphone, I forgot.
But yeah, no, seriously, I used to lie a lot when I was young until I couldn't keep track of my life anymore because I couldn't keep track of the lies I told everyone.
Wow, that is very honest of you.
Yeah, so then I'm just like, dude, like, being honest is like for my own benefit because I don't want my life to be that stressful. I don't want to have to always keep track of everything I say to people, so I'm just honest now, and it's so much easier that way.
Being honest is easier.
But I also feel like, I don't know, when you're like a high school girl, that's just kind of what you do. You just kind of lie out your butthole.
When you're a high school girl, you're like not really a real person.
I think it's like a canon event to get it out of your system when you're younger.
Oh, so now Kimmy's explicitly admitting she has a track record for being a compulsive liar and manipulator. Supposedly only back in high school? But these lunatics operate on strange delusions and manifesting with manipulated timelines and all this weird stuff many would call magic. So depending on the context, Kimmy very well might consider her connections with certain people, her being in high school with them, among other things, from what I can tell. I'd say everything I've exposed with this podcast alone already proves her compulsive lying tendencies didn't end during her time actually in high school. Even when she was being honest, maybe even what she thought was honest in how she talked to me long ago, clearly it wasn't really honest. She literally tried talking to me straight up, telling me she didn't feel a spark when we met and all that, but look at how she ended up behaving. And if she had some insane plot in the background to endlessly siphon my energy with Jamie and Jessica and whoever else, which certainly appears to be the case, then clearly to this day she remains a compulsive liar, even down to every time it comes to saying anything seriously related to this conflict. Especially when she's disrespecting and neglecting me even further and just exacerbating the intentional infliction of emotional distress I'm being extremely, seriously, deeply, existentially assaulted with.
Of the people here, who is overdue for some kind words? let's offer some good vibes. Chat, I think you're in need of some kind words. You guys are alright. You guys don't give yourself enough credit. But
How would you know that?
because they're still here, and if they're here, that means that they've gotten themselves through every single, you know, hard time in their lives, and that's something to be really proud of.
That's true. Oh yeah, go watch Kimmy's ASMR for some affirmation. And then come back if you want a beating.
Jamie has tough love. I'm like the mom and she's the dad.
I'm kidding. You guys are doing great. You guys are doing
No,
great.
yeah. Cap.
First of all, I've never been in need of kind words from Kimmy, Jamie, or any other streamer, or even content creator in general. Especially after all the fakeness and weird ulterior motives I've seen, I find it especially concerning for Kimmy to try to act like I need any kind words from her. And even more so in the context of her being on Jamie's stream, as if it's a given that I should understand I deserve to be in some place of being constantly aggravated by Kimmy and Jamie. And Jamie makes the dynamic she expected to try to enforce endless abuse upon me with full out blatantly evident right after. It seems they really thought they can force me to deal with Jamie being wild and abusive while calling it real and acting like I should enjoy it because I was born male, while Kimmy acts like I need her ASMR and comforting or kind or whatever words, as if I have some dysfunctional, unhealed emotional trauma cycle I want to stay in. Completely false. And it seems they thought they could then funnel further energy siphoning in that nightmare to Jessica, likely by exploiting fake respect for my gender identity that Jamie's likely been pretending she supposedly is being considerate or respectful towards with her behavior. So I was left constantly working extremely hard, even just to survive, while the three of them could just steal all the benefit from my efforts while leaving me in increasingly deeply disturbing distress and deprivation. And they're so desperate to try to get to do this on many people that Kimmy's basically laughing at most people they deal with as she tells Jamie's audience that Jamie's lying when she says they're doing great. So it seems they actually reinforce that abuse by Jamie sending people to Kimmy and Kimmy trying to leave people insecure that they're not doing enough for Jamie.
You should rub guacamole on your toes and suck it off.
What?
What? I mean, like, he's the one
Damn,
getting...
that was the most genuine, like, what I've done in a fucking while. Like, usually I just do, like, the what, like, for comedic effect, but, like, in that moment, I genuinely was like, what?
Because, like... I said for you to do it to yourself, by the way. Don't involve...
Feel
don't,
my
don't,
bicep.
Wow! Wait, feel mine.
Wow! It's a candle.
I've been lifting weights.
Wow.
What? I have no idea where that came from. Jamie seemed actually confused to hear it, especially with Kimmy seeming to be doing some weird power dynamic exertion type attempt in saying it. I don't really have anything else to say about it other than I don't understand it, and I've never tried to influence anyone to say that, nor have I ever given anyone any even remotely adequate reason to believe I'd want to see it or have anyone do it. I wouldn't have even commented on it, but I see serious reason to believe Kimmy's been saying all kinds of weird shit to people, certainly Jamie being one of them, and likely trying to shift blame for it somehow onto me, as if to try to use it as some kind of evidence of some kind of negative quality in me that in reality was her projecting her own issues onto me entirely against my consent and entirely to my detriment.
How is it being late 20s, Jamie? Well, I met her when she was 16, so I feel like she's always 16 in my head.
No, now I'm 27.
Which is crazy because I can't believe she's 27 now.
Yeah, I just turned 27.
I generally understand the psychological concept that a lot of people do, but I'd argue it's just indicative of lacking brain development or at least quite poor mental health, where they kind of age lock people they meet in the age they met them at. Like, I met Kimmy in her early 20s, but I don't see her now in my head like the same person she was back then. And I don't do that to anyone else either. It's only even more damning for Kimmy that if she's coming off like she's dating or has ever considered herself to be dating Jamie, and yet Jamie's a minor in her head, basically that makes Kimmy a pedophile, at least certainly mentally in a sense. And further adds credibility to what I was saying, that she basically was trying to groom Jamie from the beginning.
Minnesota. I have a lot of family.
Like, what even is Minnesota? Like, what is...
It's like the...
Is it
it's
cold?
The state right below Toronto, and it's really fucking cold.
Wait, it's near New York then.
So I think this is Toronto, this is Minnesota, this is New York.
Oh.
Wait, what? It's like, don't listen to my geography though. Let me look. Map of North America.
Guys, I'm not even American. I'm a city girl. Like, I grew up in Queens.
This
I hope
is
you know,
like,
people in the cities like don't know anything else about the rest of the country.
this is the epitome of me and Jamie's relationship. I just like answer her question. She's like, "Oh wow," she doesn't even fact check me.
Oh, right. After all this, what a coincidence that Kimmy just so happened to feel compelled to describe the location of where she was born in relation to Toronto, where she had the meetup with Jamie that they met me. Instead of, describing it in relation to any of the states in the United States that are beside it or below it, she just so happened to mention Toronto. And then throws out even more evidence of the broken dynamic between them, where Jamie seems to rather blatantly, constantly be willfully ignorant when it comes to any facts Kimmy gives her, to the extent she clearly, likely, often knows to consider information she gets from Kimmy questionable, but still just accepts it all the time, probably even in many cases where she in reality knows it's wrong, seemingly especially in relation to a certain something related to Toronto. Wonder what that could be.
We are in a goddamn bubble over here. Like, sometimes it like shocks me that LA is not like the center of the world, because like people in LA be like acting like it is.
Oh my god, people here are so extra and like sheltered. Yeah, people in Cali don't care about the rest of like what's happening in the country.
Yeah.
Or like, I think they would care if it was like more apparent, but it's so not. Like, it's so bubbly here.
LA is so bubbly, and even within LA, no one's even like in tune with reality anyway. They're in their own. I swear to God, the culture of LA is literally delusional. People here are so focused on things that aren't real.
I think in New York, like it's like super like real.
Yeah,
like they want to know.
New
Like
York
it's to
is
the point
so
where it's like almost
real.
depressing.
Yeah.
Like
oh,
we
I can
talk
see
about
that.
like really real things, but it's like almost depressing
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
Like people in LA talk about like nothing all day. Like
Yeah.
like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, California is super sheltered, guys. Nobody is in tune with reality. That's why Kimmy and Jamie conspiring to murder me, and to this day only behaving increasingly unhinged and predatory, and increasingly blatantly, unapologetically trying to steal my work and siphon my energy endlessly, entirely against my consent and to my detriment, among all the other fuck shit they're probably involved in, is fine, apparently. Because everyone around them isn't in tune with reality, so it's okay that they aren't either. Such amazing logic, I can't argue with it. Damn, I just lose because they can just extremely disingenuously play victim, and now I'm the unhinged lunatic because they feel like saying so. Even though it makes zero sense, I'm a bigger fraud the more I prove I'm not a fraud. And even the government is laughing and watching and seemingly just waiting to see me snap so they can validate some extremely fucked up false narrative about me instead of forcing these clinically insane psychopaths to start behaving with at least a semblance of real sanity, or at least end up in a psych ward, if not worse.
So I was like a normal person before I started streaming, and people from my college would always come in my chat my first like 2 years of streaming and be like, "Are you so-and-so's ex-girlfriend?" And I was, but I'm just like, why would, like, that's
How would
crazy.
they say that? Or
Yeah.
how would they spread it?
This is just a blatant lie. I wasn't around for Kimmy's first year of streaming, so I really can't speak on that. But I was definitely there for at least most of her second year of streaming. I never saw a single message in chat about Kimmy's ex-boyfriend from college. I don't know what the point of lying like that even is. Was she just desperately trying to provoke me to say anything after seeing her and Jamie failed to provoke me to talk in Twitch chat up to that point? Or maybe there was some spiritual reason. I really don't know. Maybe she's just lying for fun at this point. If she's willing to act as unhinged as she did with everything else, I certainly wouldn't put it past her. If Kimmy's trying to suggest I'll be stuck expressing my anger at everything related to her for the first roughly 2 years I do this podcast, before some random point for some weird reason I'd be able to stop or something, that's seriously not happening. I'm seriously never moving on from this. Actually, never. Kimmy's seriously going to be with me forever or end up in prison or dead. If anyone thinks it's not that serious for me, you're actually extremely delusional. I haven't been waiting for anyone's permission or something to stop. It's just actually as serious to me as I've been saying.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, my
Goodbye.
500 boyfriends.
Ooh. A lucky chat.
And we see Jamie blatantly call everyone in her chat her boyfriend. So not only are they trying to force me to feel trapped, feeling the need to speak in their Twitch chats, and trying to discredit what I say on this podcast because I'm refusing to do so, now they're increasingly aggressively trying to force me to adopt that as accepting dating them in some fucked up dynamic where they're siphoning my energy entirely against my consent. And Kimmy's trying to make it seem like I should feel lucky to be in that position? I guess that shows what kind of dynamic most people that frequent Jamie's stream are cool with tolerating. I am not, have never been, and will never be one of those people.